greets us through invocation. May I invite Dr. Rajesh, Assistant Professor of Music, to recite Tamil Thai Valthu, to be followed by anthems in praise of our founders, the Rajas of Chettinad.
நீராறும் கடலொடுத்த நிலமடந்தை கிழிதொழுகும் சீராறும் வதனமென திகழ்பரத கண்டமிதில் தெக்கணமும் அதில் சிறந்த திராவிடனல் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு பிறை நுதலும் தரித்தனரும் திலகமுமே அத்திலக வாசனை போல் அனைத்துலகும் இன்பமுற எத்திசையும் புகழ் மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனகே தமிழனகே உன் சீரிலமை திறம்பியது செயல் மறந்து வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே வாழ்த்துதுமே. தில்லை பதிவுடையான் சிற்றம்பலம் தன்னில் அல்லும் பகலும் நின்று ஆடுகின்றார் எல்லை கண் அண்ணாமலை அமைத்த கலை கழகம் கண்ணார கண்டு கழித்து நில்லாத செல்வத்தை நிலைக்க செய்தார் நீங்காத கலை புரட்சி நிரம்ப செய்தார் கல்லாத இனமெல்லாம் கற்க வைத்தார் காணாத பெரும் கழகம் களத்து வைத்தார் இல்லாத புலவர்களை இருப்போராக்கி இணையாத தமிழ் புகழை ஈட்டிக் கொண்டார் வெல்லாத செயலில்லை என்று போற்ற விளங்கியவள் மல்லா மலையில் வாழ்க மணி காட்டும் கோபுரம் போல் உயர்ந்த நெஞ்சும் மலை காட்டும் அகலம் போல் விரிந்த நோக்கும் பணி காட்டும் திருக்குறளில் படிந்த வாழ்வும் பதவி எல்லாம் படி போல கடந்த பாங்கும் அணி காட்டும் தாமரையால் அடைந்த மார்பும் ஆரையுமே உறவாக அணைக்கும் கையும் பிணி காற்றும் மருத்துவன் போல் பேணும் அன்பும் பெற்ற தமிழ் முத்தையவள் பெரியோன் வாழ்க பெற்ற தமிழ் முத்தையவள் பெரியோன் வாழ்க பெற்ற தமிழ் ராமசாமி பெரியோன் வாழ்க பெற்ற தமிழ் ராமசாமி பெரியோன் வாழ்க. Thank you.
Now I invite Dr. S. Karthik Kumar, Associate Professor of English and Deputy Director IQAC, to deliver the welcome address.
Very good evening once again. The IQAC, Internal Quality Assurance Cell, Annamala University, has been functioning as the heart of the university since 2009. The IQAC might be a recent phenomenon, but the concept of quality has always been an integral part of Annamala University. In its dynamic journey of more than 9 decades, it has been ready enough to adapt itself to changing times and needs without compromising quality. As a pioneer educational institution in South India, it has touched and transformed the lives of many with the grace of knowledge and wisdom. Even during the COVID pandemic, we have reached out to many students and researchers and faculty virtually so as to assure them our ceaseless service of education. The 2-week virtual multidisciplinary short-term training program on research methodology and data analysis is yet another endeavor on the part of IQAC and Annamala University. We are virtually connected on the occasion of the inaugural of the program. It is highly befitting that the training program on research methodology and data analysis is inaugurated by our Honorable Vice Chancellor, a seasoned researcher, an eminent scientist, and an erudite scholar, and above all, a wonderful human being. On behalf of the IQAC and Annamala University and all of us, let me accord a very cordial welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. R.M. Kadaresan. Welcome, sir. To be great, I think, is very simple, but to be simple is really great. It is our fortune that we have Professor Dr. Suresh Chandra Babu, Head Capacity Strengthening Program, as the keynote speaker in our midst. Dr. Babu has been kind enough to move beyond his comfort zone to join us virtually for the inaugural program. It is my joyous duty to welcome Dr. Suresh Chandra Babu. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us. We are sure that your presence is a value addition to our program. So this is for the information of the participants. Dr. Suresh Chandra Babu is joining from Washington, D.C. It's early morning. It's a winter early morning there. So once again, on behalf of all of us, I extend my sincere welcome to Dr. Babu. I extend my hearty welcome to the subject experts in various fields from across the nation who have come forward at our invitation to act as resource persons. It's my pleasant duty to welcome Dr. K. Bharati, Professor of Library Science, Osmania University, and Dr. Parag Shah, Associate Professor of Statistics, HL College, Gujarat, as the resource persons for the day one of the program. The success of any program depends on the enthusiastic participants. With immense delight and boundless joy, I extend my wholehearted welcome to all the participants from across the globe to be benefited by the training program. Friends, we value your trust in us and assure you that we will strive to fulfill your expectations. On a whole, we have 638 participants on the roll from almost every state of India, every state and union territory of India. And in fact, we have an international participant from Oman. So we, on behalf of the IQAC and Annamala University, we extend a wholehearted welcome to all the participants from across India as well as the globe. I cannot afford to miss the names of the organizing secretaries, Mr. K. Jayaprakash, Dr. K. Sai Leela, and Dr. K. Praveena, whose tireless and dedicated efforts have helped us organize the program in a meticulous way. So I take this opportunity to welcome the organizing secretaries of the program, and also the supporting staff of the Office of IQAC, Nominal University. Once again, it's my pleasant duty to welcome you all to the inaugural of the 2-week short-term multidisciplinary program on research methodology and data analysis. Welcome. Now, the world is full of academicians and administrators, but it is very rare to come across a personality in whom we find both traits together. We have one such rare personality in our midst, Dr. R.M. Kadharesan, the Vice Chancellor of Annamalai University. Dr. R.M. Kadharesan is, as I already introduced, is an eminent scientist and accomplished scholar, has got international reputation for his immense contribution to research. Dr. R.M. Kadharesan is an international consultant for FAO Rome and IRRI Philippines. He is an expert committee member of National Biodiversity Authority, Ministry of Environment and Forestry. He is participating in Prime Minister's Skill India program as a technology developer. He has evolved integrated rice plus fish plus poultry farming technology that has tripled the income of more than 1,600 farmers in Tamil Nadu. As per Prime Minister's motto of doubling farmers' income, he is also known for his introduction of Sigipi rice variety that has survived recurrent floods in Kerala. And this year it was more than 1,000 acres. Dr. Kadharesan has completed many research projects over rupees 16 crores sponsored by national and international agencies like World Bank, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, USA, and so on and so forth. So on behalf of all the parties, on behalf of the IQAC, on behalf of all the participants, may I take this opportunity to accord a cordial welcome to our Honorable Vice Chancellor to inaugurate the training program with his inaugural address. Sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Karthik Kumar. Very good evening for all the friends in India, and very good morning to the guest speaker today and honorable guest of Annamalai University and very valued alumnus of Annamalai University, a special friend of mine, Dr. Suresh Chandra Babu from IFRI, New York. Once again, I thank you all for this opportunity to inaugurate the research methodology and data analysis training program organized by Internal Quality Assurance Cell. I congratulate all the members of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell and my good friends, Professor S. Arivudai Nambi, Professor S. Ramesh Kumar, Dr. Karthik Kumar, Jay Prakash, Leela, everyone. Just I don't want to stand a long time between the participants. As mentioned, it's around 600 and a very renowned speaker throughout the world. International Food Policy Research Institute knows him very well, and he is an alumnus. I'm very happy and proud to say that he is an alumnus of Annamalai University, because any university, the first measure of performance of a university should be based on the alumnus. And I'm happy to say that very renowned alumnus from Annamalai University, to list a few, Dr. R. Venkatraman, the former President of India, and Dr. P.C. Alexander, the Governor of Tamil Nadu, and Dr. Suresh Chandra Babu, now the guest speaker. They are all alumnus of Annamalai University. So I'm happy to have him on my side as guest speaker today. And to be very frank, this is the first program which I am participating as Vice Chancellor. And I am pleased and I am grateful that Dr. Suresh Chandra Babu accepted my invitation to be the guest speaker today. And one of my policy when I was a dean in the Faculty of Agriculture in Annamalai University is always to invite and involve alumnus of the faculty in every program. The same way, I can assure that alumnus of the universities will be involved in every program hereafter. And just to introduction of the participants, Annamalai University is second university in Tamil Nadu and 15th university in the whole of India. Initiated way back in 1920 as 3 colleges, one for Sanskrit, one for Tamil, and one for arts and science. All the 3 were integrated to form a university in 1929. We have celebrated our 90th year history and we are marching towards our centenary. And I'm happy that I could take up the lead almost after completion of 90 years. It's a dedicated university in the sense, Dr. Suresh may be knowing better. Planning Commission of India, Niti Aayog, has identified 150 districts in India as to have been disadvantaged based on socio-economic parameters in the year somewhere around 2007 or 2008. And out of these 150 districts, in Tamil Nadu, state of Tamil Nadu, 4 districts were identified. And those 4 were Kadalur, Viluppuram, Nagapattinam, and Thiruvannamalai. These 4 districts, even before the economic and socio-economic survey engaged by the experts of Niti Aayog and the Planning Commission, 90 years back, a visionary identified these 4 districts as to have been disadvantaged. And he found that education is the only measure or tool through which the livelihoods of these resource poor people in 4 disadvantaged districts could be lifted up. And that visionary is Dr. Annamalai Chettiar, who initiated, who organized, who established this Annamalai University by donating 600 acres of land and 20 lakhs of rupees in 1920. Imagine what sort of a philanthropist he is. And from that time onwards, Annamalai University is marching towards glory and reputation. And even today, regarding the measures like H-index and citations, for information of my own good friend, Dr. Suresh, as well as other participants, I will tell you, in Tamil Nadu, with regard to H-index and citations, we are only number 2 next to Anna University. All other 21 universities are behind us. Of course, we have some sort of financial crisis, but we never had any crisis in academic output and improving the human resources throughout the state and throughout the country. And we have been, see, in research, there are 2 different types of research. And once I went through this brochure of this training program, I was asking my good friend Nambi and Ramesh, you have included most topics relevant to social science research, and you could have included some topics relevant to basic science and applied science research also. In my opinion, research now could be, one thing is transcriptional research or basic research that generates data that will support the evolution of a technology or that may go for forming a policy. But the other research is translational research, which will be of direct benefit to the end user or taxpayer. And the second part, I am more involved. Whether it is translational research or transcriptional research, one has to follow a stupendous methodology so that we have been seeing from the time of evolution. Lamarck had his theory of evolution, which was later disproved by August Weismann. So there had been concepts and anti-concepts. But whatever, whether it is a concept or anti-concept, it needs to have a stupendous methodology. And that is how the IQAC has thought of a training program for research methodology and data analysis. And we are all very good Indians, of course. I would like to bring a small anecdote here. Once Einstein and an Indian were traveling in an aeroplane. And Einstein, you know, he has the highest IQ. And he was confident of his IQ and he just wanted to tease the Indian. And so he asked his fellow Indian passenger, See, we need to keep idle in this flight until it lands down. And shall we have a game? Then the Indian said, okay. Then Einstein said, I will ask you a question. If you reply a right answer, I will give you $5. If you don't give a right answer, you give me $5. In turn, next, you can ask me a question. If I don't give a right answer or if I don't know, I will give you $500. And if you don't know, if you don't know, doesn't matter. Then Indian accepted the program. And Einstein asked some question which is of very high IQ. Indian could not answer. He paid $5. Then next, the Indian's turn. The Indian asked, can you name an animal which climbs up the hill with 2 legs and comes down with 3 legs? Einstein was simply perplexed. He could not answer. Then he said, I'm sorry, I don't know. And then he put his fingers into the pocket and paid the Indian $500. Out of curiosity, Einstein then asked, could you please tell me what is that animal? Then Indian said, I also don't know. And he paid $5. So here the Indian proves that his IQ is no way less than that of Einstein because he could gain $495. So IQ is something different, but the way we put up and find a solution for a problem is different. And one needs to follow a stupendous methodology. And that is the way it has to go. And I'm happy that I could involve Dr. Suresh Chandra Babu. Once again, thank Dr. Suresh Chandra Babu for accepting my invitation. And I'm sure he'll be giving an excellent lecture. And I'm happy that so many guest speakers or resource persons from across the country is involved in the program. I once again thank IQAC for involving all of them. And hopefully this program will be an excellent program and will continue to have similar programs and especially in this year of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav as proposed by the central government of India and Prime Minister of India. We are happy to involve ourselves in the process of nation building and we'll be happy to host programs, involve ourselves with national collaboration, international collaboration for research. Thank you one and all and hope to have a nice program ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your inspiring inaugural address. With your inaugural address, we believe that it augurs well. Thank you very much. Now we would like to introduce the keynote speaker for the day, Dr. Professor Suresh Chandra Babu. Knowing fully well that we cannot do justice to our duty because it might take hours together to introduce him fully. Anyway, for the sake of the participants, we would like to introduce some of the key achievements by the keynote speaker. Dr. Suresh Chandra Babu is at present head of capacity strengthening International Food Policy Research Institute. He had an eventful career of more than 30 years with many international organizations. He was an alumnus of Iowa State University, Ames, Iowa, where he earned his MA Economics and PhD Economics. In the 80s and early 90s, he was in Malawi, Southern Africa, on various capacities. He was a senior food policy advisor to Malawi Ministry of Agriculture on developing a national level food and nutrition information system. He was an evaluation economist for the UNICEF Malawi Food Security Program in Malawi. During 1989-1994, he was serving as a senior lecturer at the University of Malawi. In 1992, he joined the IFPRI as a research fellow, and at present, He is head of Capacity Strengthening International Food Policy Research Institute. Dr. Babu has published extensively, and he is serving as guest professor at various international universities. He has been an honorary visiting professor at the Indira Gandhi National University, India, a guest professor at the China Center for Rural Development, Zhejiang University, China. He is also an honorary professor of University of KwaZulu-Natal University in South Africa. Dr. Babu was selected as the co-editor of the African Journal of Agriculture and Resource Economics in 2019. It is a real fortune that we have such a versatile genius amidst us as the keynote speaker for the day. Sir, we are really excited to listen to you and to be benefited by your keynote speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much for your kind introduction. And I, at the outset, thank Professor Kadiresan, my good friend, and also a renowned agricultural scientist who has taken the leadership of this famous university, which I am also a part of, as I come from there. That's my mother institution. And I thank Professor Kadiresan for inviting me to this particular program, because this is something that I've been working on for many years. And not only it is relevant for me to talk about some of the methods and also give some ideas to the participants on how we look at the big data analytics at the global level. But as Professor Kadiresan said, it needs to touch upon both translational and transcriptional research as well. So I'll give some examples to that effect. But just to start off, once again, I thank the university officials, the organizers, and Professor Kadiresan for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be with you. And let us go straight into the presentation and the speech that I wanted to give today. I just want to check if you can see my screen. Just wanted to check that.
Sir, we are able to see your screen.
Okay, very good. So,
it should be full screen now, Babu.
Okay.
So it's like full screen is not there, I think.
To me, it looks full screen in my screen.
Okay.
So I think we'll go ahead and.
Yes, please. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, what I wanted to talk about is to give some overview of what is happening at the global level in terms of big data analytics, that we can take some lessons from. At the same time, use my own research as an example for understanding how we can apply analytical methods for data analysis to guide, in the context of socioeconomic data analysis, in the context of socioeconomic data, guide policies in the context of technological data, guide the innovation processes, and also in the context of monitoring and evaluation data, guide program implementation, and at the end of it all, how we can evaluate the interventions of the public sector, private sector, NGO sector, in terms of what these interventions entail to the beneficiaries, whether they are farmers or rural households or urban households or any socioeconomic group. So from that perspective, I saw the program. It covers a wide range of analytical techniques, which you will go into detail in each one of the sessions. and they are all highly relevant for data analysis. But my presentation today will kind of bring it all together from a particular thematic perspective. And how do we approach a thematic research in the context of policy, because I'm a policy analyst, so I will use the policy context. It could be technology, it could be institutional context, it could be governance context, it could be context within which you generate new ideas, for example, the basic research we talk about, right? So, but I will talk about the policy context, but it is again applied to socioeconomic data in larger sense. So that's the background to what I want to talk about, but I will pretty much use my own research for that purpose. So I will quickly talk that the introduction I already gave, why we need big data analysis, because now more and more compared to some 20, 30 years ago, we are generating lots and lots of data, mainly because of the advent of internet, for example, the social media, and companies like Google, Facebook, they are all basically big data analytical companies. They are generating data all the time about all aspects of our lives, okay, to put it very simply. But the idea is, what do we do with this data? And not only it is a big data, as you know, simple statistics will tell us any data points more than 30 becomes a large data set, right? But then going from simple data, smaller data sets to large data, now we are talking about big data. That means enormous amount of information that's being developed as data points on various aspects of our lives, be it in agriculture sector or in health sector, or any other socioeconomic sector for that matter, or even the data related to astronomy. For we are looking at the skies and say, how do we collect data from the skies, right? And also we use skies to also use satellites to collect data on the ground. So there are a lot of data being generated in the last 30 to 40 years. There has been data revolution. So, but then what are we doing as researchers with this data revolution? Can we do our research better with this kind of data that is being developed? And that is the crux of big data analytics. How do we bring the data to address and guide us the knowledge gap that we have, the evidence gap that we have, and to address some of the research questions that has not been addressed before? So if we give this broad perspective, why we need to get into big data analysis, on the one hand, we are generating a lot of data. On the other hand, we do not have answers for all the solutions, all the problems that are emerging all the time. When I say emerging problems, it's easy to look at broadly in the global level. You look at, I'm just giving some examples for participants to think through as you are thinking. You think from your own perspective when I talk, right? When I say a problem, you say, hey, what problem that I am solving in terms of research? Okay, you go ahead and have the thought process as I present. That's very important. So in the context of big data analysis, we are looking at how do we take this big data, that is big data meaning large data points, thousands and thousands of, sometimes millions of data points, and bring this data to tell us the story, tell us the information, which can again be presented for decision making. What kind of decision making? It could be policy decision making. It could be institutional decision making. As Professor Kadiresan said, he is at the helm of an institution. He has to make a lot of decisions, for example. And that level institutional decision making is also possible. Programmatic decision making at the policy level. I talked about the state level, the national level policy making. We mentioned about Niti Aayog. They need a lot of information in terms of decision making. At the same time, the state level decision making is also happening, various programs and policies that are being implemented. So in order to guide the decision making process, whether it is management, it's policy, institutional, technological, we need to learn from what is happening on the ground. That learning process is called data analytics in the context of what we are talking about. So when the data is big, we are calling it big data analysis. So computer facilities are available now. When we were studying undergraduate, we have not even seen a computer. But when I was studying master's level, they showed a computer in a glass room, right? That is a computer. Nobody can even go there. You have to give the data cards and they will. But then when I went to the States to study, within a couple of years, I was given a computer myself. So I was having my computer in front of me and I was analyzing already. In 1985, I'm talking about. The laptop computers started coming. In 87, 88, we actually had a laptop. Before that, we had desktop. So the computer powers of computational power has been increasing. And that has allowed us to go into capturing large data sets and understanding what is happening around us in our environment. Apply that analytical techniques to problems that we have to solve for our human well-being or development of the country as a whole, for example. But then, how do we go about doing that? That's my second point, theory of change. Now, I will talk about that and then I will go into a little bit of a development process, giving example of how do you translate some of the problems that we face into analytical studies. Then I will give you some examples from my research, food security policy analysis, nutrition policy analysis, and I will finish with that. So I'm going to go quickly to the actual presentation. The presentation actually comes straight from my book that we wrote with my co-authors a few years ago. It's in third edition now. Actually, third edition has come out last month. And this book basically brings the analytical techniques, which you will be studying. Actually, I was so impressed by the program because each chapter of this book is addressing the sessions that are being covered in this program. So that's why it was convenient for me to give the overview to start with at the keynote speech. So you can actually follow through all the sessions in a specific manner. So this is basically the starting point, and this book has gone into third edition and it's being taught as a textbook in US universities and European universities, and also in several developing countries they are using. And I also teach this in many universities, including right now I'm teaching in Ireland, University College in Ireland, as my own course in this book. So we'll come back to the details, but if you are interested in this kind of analysis, I'll be happy to interact with you more. But generally, I'm using this as an entry point to give the overview of what is data analytics all about, because you need to have a thematic idea in order to talk about it. You can't talk about data analytics just in space, right? So you need to be grounded in particular issues so you understand how it is done. So with that, I will just quickly go into a conceptual framework, and I call it theory of change. You can call it theory of change, but it is a conceptual framework that drives my research for the most part. And it is rather little bit crowded diagram, but I will leave this presentation with the organizers. They can share it with you, and you can always go back and look at it. Here, what we do is to look at the final outcome of our research, final outcome of our intervention. Any research that we do is with an idea to intervene, whether it is technologically we are going to intervene and give new innovation to the farmers, or policy intervention to come up with new policies such as, okay, let's fix the price for rice at so much level so that all the farmers can double their income. I'm just using farm example because it's easy for me to show that example, right? I've been doing research on that. And we can also look at the programmatic example. So we have a midday meal scheme in Tamil Nadu, which is very famous for Tamil Nadu. We call it Chief Minister's Noon Meal Scheme. I happen to be one of the first people who analyzed the impact of that program when it was introduced in 1982, 81 actually, by Mr. Honorable Chief Minister at that time, M.G. Ramachandran. I actually happen to be in the field for my master's research, and I analyze the impact of that program. So that's where my analytical data analysis started as a career. And that was also my first international paper from my research. So why I'm saying that is, any research that you're conducting is to solve a problem or to guide policymakers or decision makers or farmers or whoever making a decision. So any decision maker needs information, and that information has to come from data, and data needs to be analyzed in order to guide the decision making. So that's a data analytical process. Just keep that in mind. So in this context, I'm throwing you the example that the book I talked about is based on this conceptual framework. What it does is it wants to achieve through analytical techniques nutritional security for all the people in a country context at all times. All the people will be out of malnutrition. All the people will be having very good nutritional status. So that's the goal. In fact, that's the goal of Sustainable Development Goal. If you go to United Nations Sustainable Development Goal, there are 17 goals. And this goal comes under Sustainable Development Goal number 2, which talks about reducing hunger and malnutrition. Go and look at that. It's an assignment I'm giving you, so that you can also think about how we can address the global level problems, right? So this book is basically SDG 2 kind of book, right? So there we are talking about various outcomes. One outcome that I put here is nutrition security, which is driven by various intermediate causes. What are the various immediate causes? What are the immediate causes of food nutrition status? You know, it is food, right? We need to eat food in order to get nutrition. So you will see dietary intake as that immediate cause, but it also involves not just the calories of amount of rice we eat, but also micronutrients. Calories and proteins are called macronutrients. We're also interested in vitamin A. Now everybody knows about the nutritional deficiencies that we are talking about, right? Iron, iodine, and 16 other nutritional deficiencies that people face, right? But now we are going beyond. After achieving food self-sufficiency in India, we are going beyond just eating rice and dal, right? To see what is the quality of our food, right? That determines our nutritional status. But again, food alone doesn't determine that. You also have good health status to absorb the food to become nutritionally secure. Okay, so if immediate causes are food and health status, what does drive the food intake? What is that? What is the factor that drive health status? And there we have underlying causes: access to food, maternal and child care practices, and other health environmental services, including water, sanitation, hygienic practices, washing hands, clean hands, and so on, right? So while they are underlying causes, they are also driven by other factors, right? For example, I don't want to take too much of your time. It will become very long presentation. I want to give you a flavor for how we do data analytics and why this course is very important for you. And how do you approach this course based on the sessions that are coming in the next 2 weeks, right? That's what my job is today. So look at one example: access to food, that is based on household production of food, or household income, or household expenditure on food, right? So these are the determining factors. But within that, the production itself comes from agricultural production. For example, if a farmer is to eat his own food, it comes from his own field. Otherwise, we go out and buy the food in the market. But then coming down, these markets, the policies, legal institutions, the resources controlled by farmers, the ownership of land, how they use the land, they all come under the basic causes, where we call this policies, legal instruments, and political dimensions of policy making. Okay, so to summarize here, for any one problem to solve, you need to look at the causes of that problem and identify how much these causes are contributing to the problem, and that will give you indication of how you can alter the causal factors. I'll come to this in detail later. And in order to understand the causality between the factors that affect the final outcome you are looking for in decision making, will determine what emphasis you should give in order to design a policy, design a program, right? Is it a political problem? You saw the farmers on the street, right? Farmers were on the outskirts of New Delhi, Punjab farmers, Haryana farmers, fighting against the 3 farm laws, right? If you followed the news in the last 1 year. While we believe as economists, policymakers, these policies are very important for not just Punjab farmers, Haryana farmers throughout India, but certain segments of farmers did not like it. So we have to revoke the laws. But looking at that particular aspect of what happened really becomes the political economy of policymaking. Okay, just to give an example, think about a real example of what's happening. But how did we come up with the policy, the 3 policies in the first place, is based on the data analytics. There are a lot of research that's been, Niti Aayog was mentioned, right? We work with Niti Aayog in order to generate that kind of policies, guide the Prime Minister who is policy maker here, policy announcer, the Parliament, in order to implement that policy, right? To make it a law. But 3 laws are revoked. We can go back to that. But then I'm giving the nutritional dimension of it. So this book that I'm talking about, each chapter addresses various aspects of causal factors and how do you analyze that. Okay, I mean, I will move a little bit faster. So at the macro level, you need to have an understanding of how these various factors fit in, right? On this slide, I'm putting all the inputs that go into agriculture production: soil, fertilizer, labor, seed, and water, and so on. And it contributes, these are the causal factors. When we connect the data on soil, fertilizer, labor, seeds, water to the production as an outcome, that data analytic becomes, we call it farm management in agriculture. So we analyze farm management data, farm level data, and that could be for millions and millions of farmers in order to understand how the soil factors contribute to the productivity level. And that's the research Professor Kadresan does, right? He's a scientist from that angle. He looks at the fertilizer applications in agronomy, various levels of fertilizer application, and then he identifies what is the best level of application. Okay, that's one set of data analytics. And of course, moving on from production, having we achieved food self-sufficiency in India, we are now worried about achieving nutritional status, as I'm interested in as a scientist. So I'm going to go through the pathways through which this is achieved. And in this pathways, I'm going to collect data and analyze the data in a big analytical data sense, right? So I can go through one path. Okay, production, farmer earns income, and that income is spent on individual health, taking care of his health, taking care of the food, and then that results in the woman's nutrition at the household level, child's nutrition at the household level as an indicator of nutrition. Okay, or we can forget about the market, just produce the food, I store it as the food, and then make sure my household is able to access the food, and then intake that food, and then I achieve nutrition. So there is various pathways in which the final outcome is achieved. What does that mean? We have to study these pathways and analyze these pathways in order to develop programs and policies and interventions and technologies to meet various segments of the society, right? That's why I put this pathway analysis for you as a preliminary entry point for data analysis. Okay, let's move on quickly because time is limited. And we are also at the global level looking at it. When we look at the same issue at the global level, what happens to country income when it increases, what happens to nutritional status of the countries? Then we take the country as a data point. So we bring 200 countries, 250 countries together and then do the data analysis. And that's again called big data analysis, gives the macro picture. And then we can have a broad indication of what happens. Here we show that as the country's income increases, GDP increases, macro level, the malnutrition level goes down. That's my colleagues Ruel and Alderman published in from my own institute, published in Lancet. Became a very popular paper and still remains a very popular paper. And connection between national income and nutrition. I'm just giving that example of data analytics. That's the idea behind this presentation, right? Without getting into details. So let me get into details for you, because as I present, think about your problem and think about what hypothesis that you want to develop and how the techniques that will be taught in the next 2 weeks, you can learn it and apply to produce papers, to produce policy or research reports that can be useful for decision making. Okay, that's the idea, to motivate you to think along those lines. So let me directly go into some of the chapters in the book. If you are interested in, I can share some of the chapters for you. I will share my email with the organizers, and you write to me. I can be very happy to guide you also if you are doing research in the process. I can guide you as much as my time permits, because I mentor a lot of young researchers in India. That's part of my, giving back to my country. So I can be helpful in that sense. So now let me come back quickly to the food security. I will go a little bit faster because of the time limitation. So think about food security. I already talked about this, how technological change, the kind of technologies Professor Kadiresan produces in our Faculty of Agriculture in Annamalai University, or any state agricultural university, or ICAR institution, how this technological change contribute to food security. What kind of data is needed? How do we test that hypothesis that in fact technological change is going to contribute to food security? Here in one of the chapters, I give simple T statistics, right? We always use T statistics to compare means. In fact, if you collect data on the technology adoption, hybrid seed adoption versus non-hybrid adopters, keep these two categories of people and go and study the food security status, how many meals they are eating every day as an indicator, then you can come up with a solution or test the hypothesis that technology adopters or adopters who adopt hybrid seeds, in fact, are going to be more food secure. Sometimes it may not happen if the crop is not the right crop. In the context of cotton, for example, it may work other way around because they adopt hybrid technology or modern cotton varieties, but they use the income for non-food purposes, right? It happens in the Indian context a lot. They don't concentrate on food. So it is always not going to work. Technology change will always result in food security because it depends on the context. It depends on the crop. It depends on the technology itself. So just a quick example there. We can use t-test to analyze it. What is another hypothesis we can come up with? I just talked about, I'm going to kind of keep giving examples for you to think through. So I just talked about cotton. Cotton is a commercial crop. Then we can ask question, if farmers go from rice growing to commercial crop, which we are actually talking about right now in Tanjavur Delta, can the summer crop can be stopped and people can go for cotton? That is a good question to ask. Will it increase their food consumption or not? When farmers decide to go for non-rice crops, more commercial crops, vegetables, and so on, how do you analyze that? That means we have to analyze the cropping pattern changes, who gains income, who controls resources, how the income is spent within the household in order to understand, is it going to be really beneficial for food security and nutrition? Moving on, just giving the kind of a quick glimpse of how can you analyze these issues, right? Then we can also talk about what happens to the gender of the household here. Will women eat more because of this new change in the cropping pattern, or because of the technological change we are introduced? It's become a very important policy question, right? Because our gender disparity, gender bias in nutrition is very wide. That was one of my earliest research I found in villages of Tamil Nadu, that women always eat later. You also know in our households, women eat late, and then when the food is not available, they go starving. That means women's health status is far behind than men's health status, gender bias in nutritional status, that contribute to low birth weight of children, and that children are malnourished, and that children, again, if it's a female children, produces low birth weight children in the future. So you see lean young ladies are not nourished, and the cycle of malnutrition continues in India, right? We have made a lot of progress, but we still have a long way to go. That's why the gender is important. How do you analyze gender and connect that to technological adoption? The pathways that I talked about, right? What are the gender dimensions of technology adoption? Will women adopt certain technology so that they can be food secure? They can be nutritionally secure, right? That's a question we are asking. And we can use specific techniques there as well. And we can also analyze the food consumption. Why urban consumers differ in the consumption pattern compared to rural consumers. Why processed food is eaten much more in urban setting, whereas rural setting is different. We can't say now. It's the last 10, 15 years, there are a lot of processed foods. We are fighting against it, right? In terms of making sure we don't get into non-communicable diseases like overweight, obesity, hypertension, type 2 diabetes. All these issues are coming from food consumption pattern. And how do we connect that to food production and the health on the other hand? So how do we study that, right? So obesity and overweight is becoming a serious problem also. Well, people are starving and malnourished on the other hand. Okay. So that's another idea to think about how to analyze various pathways. Then we talk about market access. Is access to market for obtaining food a key factor? In Africa, for example, there are no markets. You have to produce your own food, you have to eat. If you want to access market, you have to go for 10 kilometers to buy food. So in that context, you're not going to, even if you have money, accessing is going to be very difficult. But in that context, how do you develop value chains? Value chains that will cater to the needs of various stakeholders in the value chain, from the producer to the consumers. And in India, we talk about value chains a lot. I'm doing quite a bit of research value chains in India right now. We just looked at the orange value chain, for example, the demand for orange juice because of COVID-19. A recent research that I'm doing within India, and that we see that there is so many varieties, brands of orange juice that are coming in the market claiming that they will solve the COVID problem, right? But it's only going to help in terms of vitamin C, but it's not actually going to address the virus once you got it, right? But I'm just giving an example. So we need to kind of develop that information and share it for decision making. I'm going to kind of move quickly because I have quite a bit of slides to share. And we also can talk about improving nutrition through value chains. If value chains are related to certain vegetables, can it improve the nutrition in the consumers who are on the value chain? Can it be actually promoted as a value chain? And how can we promote that value chain? And we talk about Moringa value chain, for example, in Africa right now. When I went to Africa, it was mentioned that I was in Malawi as a food security advisor. In African countries, everywhere I see Moringa trees, but nobody knows what to do with it. I was the first person in my community there, cut that leaves and then started eating in front of everybody. We developed a lot of recipes to show them. Imagine a child which is needing vitamin A malnutrition, standing below a Moringa tree and going blind without knowing that Moringa tree leaves can be used for solving the blindness. See, that's the kind of knowledge gap. That's the kind of decision-making gap that we need to fill with data analytics. So that now we have been able to spread Moringa in many African countries because of that. In fact, we took seeds from India to Africa. So we can now Moringa is developing as a value chain, even in India. Now I'm in touch with our horticulture university colleagues in southern, where Kambam, I can't remember, Theni, Kambam area, where the Moringa is becoming a value chain. Okay, good. So we can also talk about production diversity. Can we diverse our production system so that the integrated farming system that Professor Kadiresan talked about, right? Growing crops, livestock, fish, poultry, how do we all integrate them and diversify so that we can improve nutrition? It's a good example of improving nutrition. This research shows that you can actually increase the income of the farmers and also increase the nutrition. Let me, again, you bring in the nutritional indicators like the malnutrition indicators to compare the production diversity, okay? And okay, some examples in the nutrition policy side. We talked about food security examples. Now I'm going into nutrition policy examples. How do you think about a problem? How do you think about analyzing big data, okay? Now, in the larger context, macro context, if you take what causes death and disability at the global level, to make your problem as important as possible, you need to do macro analytical data, big data. See, my colleague Purnima Menon She lives in New Delhi office for us in New Delhi. She conducted that research. She's a nutritionist. She came up with the ranking of various factors that are contributing to death and disability. You see, malnutrition ranks number 1. She did this through data analytics to show to the world that, okay, there is air pollution, there is, problem of tobacco, right? High blood pressure, you name it, all the problems are there. But malnutrition is the one that is causing the most death and disability, right? With the data she proved, 1917 ranking, okay? That's how you promote the area of research that you are studying through macro data. It's just an example. So you need to have why you are doing research, how it is important for the world, how it is important for the society that you are trying to serve. That requires big data analysis. Showing this to a policymaker, Ministry of Health she's actually working with Ministry of Health to show this data, to show how solving malnutrition will solve a lot of our problems in India, right? Moving on. But there is again various types of definitional problems you will face in your own thematic research. You need to be very careful in terms of what exactly you are addressing. There could be a problem within malnutrition. I'm showing various types of malnutrition and they can overlap, right? I talked about in the same family, you look at the same family in India, you go, in my relatives, I go there is a child who is malnourished. I can see visibly malnutrition, but the mother is overweight, obese, right? So there is malnutrition on the undernutrition side on the one hand, overnutrition side on the other hand. She is having high blood pressure, diabetes, and complications. Her own grandchild is malnourished because the child is not eating properly. Both the type of malnutrition in the same household. It's very hard to explain because we only thought undernutrition will happen only in poor households. Overnutrition will only happen in richer households. No, it's not. So how do we address that kind of a complicated problem, multi type problem, right? Is an issue for future research. So you need to be watching out for what are the indicators, what are the causal factors, how these problems gets complicated as you go along, and that gives innovation. Then you can publish in high quality journals like Professor Kadiresan publishes in international journals, right? I'm very proud because he goes for very high quality journals, right? He doesn't publish local journals, and you can publish, right? But in order to prove yourself that you are an international quality researcher, you need to put your research on the scrutiny at the international level. And that's when you frontier research in my thoughts, right? You see that I'm just giving an example, but as you are coming into this research field, think about it. And I was taught when I was like 25 years old, I was taught to think like that. How can I publish in the international journal to start with? So my third paper already was, first two papers were in India. My third paper was already, from my master's degree, was already in an international journal. And that's why I was able to get PhD admission in Iowa State University. I'm just giving you what happened to me. I came from the Annamalai Nagar Agricultural University, right? Studying same, and that is where I learned all agriculture that is out there I should learn. I have not learned anything new after that. Because the Faculty of Agriculture, I just have to say this because the teaching in Faculty of Agriculture at Annamalai University, there is no comparison. I've seen in US, I've seen in Europe, the basic agriculture that you should learn, it is taught exactly 100%. And you come with so much confidence. You can talk about soil fertility right now based on my second year soil science, okay? Because that's how we were taught. The reason why I'm saying here is you have to have that confidence in order to publish in international journals. Let me move on the subject. So we are going to think about in a research program, what are the indicators of final outcome? I talked about nutrition security. Remember in my example, what is your example? And what are the intermediate, immediate causal factors? I talked about in the picture, in the diagram that I put, the theory of change diagram, right? And how do we analyze the connection between these two? And that becomes research. That becomes causality. Once you understand the causality, then you can guide the decision makers this causes this, and this quantification of the causality helps you to tell how much to change the indicator, change the causal factor in order to change the indicator, right? That's research is all about. And rest becomes analytics. You sit in the computer and run the data analysis techniques. But you need to know, what are we changing? Who is changing that? How much will change? And what does the data tell us? That's research is all about. Causality research is all about, right? And you can do ANOVA, you can do regression, you can do correlation. Of course, we don't want to confuse correlation with causality, right? But you can do chi-square test, you can use F test, right? And so on and so forth. And all these techniques give you the tool. They are not the solution, right? But the solution comes from thinking about how the research question can be answered and what kind of tool you need. It's not just, I know F test, so let keep on running F test on all the data that I have, okay? But there is no innovation in that. That's why I'm emphasizing, think about your problem first and how you can collect data for addressing the problem. Some examples: impact of maternal education on children's nutritional status. If the women are educated well, can they take care of the child better? In addition to the food, in addition to the sanitation factors, can the behavior of the mother change when the mother is better educated? That's a good question to ask. So we can actually come up with nutrition education programs in Anganwadis and primary healthcare centers to educate the women, particularly to take care of the children, right? So that's a one good question to ask. I'm just giving some examples. We have learned a lot in that kind of asking questions. We need to focus on, I talked about the gender equity, women empowerment, very important, because they need to be educated, because they are the ones feeding the children, right? Some quick examples. We need to understand the non-food constraints for nutritional status. It's not just food. It could be health, it could be knowledge, it could be water, it could be sanitary. Poor water you drink, you're going to have diarrhea. The food is not going to stay as nutrition, right? That's an example. I'm just going to go quickly because of the time. And we also need to think about changing the behavior. We're talking about open toilets, right? In those days, there is no toilet at home. Everybody went to the field. But that brings in a lot of health problems. Children particularly are get infected by worms, and then they are not growing. Now we learn the importance of toilets. Now we talk about toilets everywhere, right? Prime Minister Modi's Clean India program. But that's basically coming from understanding that our behavior in terms of water and sanitation has to change in order to improve nutritional status, right? So the research has shown that. Quickly moving on to the individual factors affecting nutrition. Individual factors like how much food we eat, and household factors such as who is guiding us in terms of nutritional well-being, what information the parents and the grandparents have, and what is the seasonality factors, okay? In lean season, how much they are having food, in harvest season, how much they have food, and how does that affect the markets, and what are the geophysical characteristics affecting nutritional status and food security in particular area. We talked about the vulnerable district, Thiruvannamalai. We can talk about that in Indian context, right? Orissa, Bihar, areas of Rajasthan. There are a lot of vulnerable areas there where nutritional status, geophysical characteristics that are particularly affected by nutritional problems, right? So we have to understand that also in addition to individual factors. Moving on, some more examples. So we look at socioeconomic factors, environmental factors, cultural factors, educational factors, and gender dimension in order to understand the interactions of nutrition and food security and poverty outcomes, okay? So again, some examples. You think about your problem that you are working on. If you are a social scientist, if you are an economist, you are coming from a technological side, you think about your dimensions of your problem, how it connects to macro dimensions of the outcomes. How does it connect to other intermediary outcomes? Here I'm talking about nutritional outcomes to the macro investment. Poverty, how poverty affects nutrition, for example. How do you measure poverty? How can we classify various food insecure poverty households and then study nutritional status among themselves, right? And these are all part of my research papers published over the years. But this is how you think through the multi-dimensionality of a problem, right? And we also talk about care. Who gives the care to the households and how that care variable affects nutrition, okay? Quickly moving on, and we can also do modeling exercise. One of my earliest papers from my master's degree is based on a linear programming model. How do we optimize the question that I asked in that? I'm just posing this research question for you to think. My worry was at that time when I went to the villages right after my undergraduate degree, when I worked for a NGO, it is actually a Chettiar concern, Moringa Chettiar Research Center, you know, TI cycles in those days. That group, Moringa Chettiar group, had a research center in near Mahabalipuram, and they appointed me as a technologist to take care of the nutritional status of the people in those villages. And that opened my eyes for research actually. And I went and collected data in those villages about the nutritional status of the people. I was like 22 years old, just finished the undergraduate, right? And I learned so much about the problems of nutrition, and I even felt very bad that we achieved food self-sufficiency and people are still starving. Then we came up with the question, if a farmer household, the average holding size there at that time was 5 acres in that area. So my research question was, if a farmer has 5 acres of land, can the farmer be self-sufficient in food, nutrition, fuel, fiber, and to have additional income to meet the health and educational needs? That's all, right? That's all the problem of solving poverty. Then how do you solve that problem? You need to solve the problem by finding out what is the best cropping pattern that they can have so that these problems can be solved. Achieve the goal that we want. To identify various combination of rice, groundnut, vegetables, cassava, tapioca we call, right? And we should have some acre, half acre of paruti, what you call, cotton, right? In order to get the cotton fiber, and they can actually make their own clothes if they want to. And half acre of casuarina so that they can cut that tree to feed for the fuel. Self-sufficient, 5 acres of land. And we proved that it can happen, but we need technology. We need productivity increases, right? That's where agriculture research comes in. But then it's not enough to talk about dietary preferences, because some people may not have dietary tastes and preferences. You can say this, grow this crop, but they may not like it, right? We only like rice in South India, wheat in North India, that kind of dietary preference. That can be incorporated in research. Moving on, I have a few more slides if you can bear with me. And we can also do randomized control trials to evaluate the program, right? Intervention programs that we are doing. So we connect the women's nutrition status, women's ability to feed themselves, managers, farm managers, and their own nutritional status. How do you combine that with the nutritional status studies? And we are right now doing research. I just want to throw this for your information. We are actually coming up with an index called Women Empowerment Index in Agriculture, and it's becoming very popular. And how do you use that data to study how empowered women are doing much better in their nutritional status and their generally community level status? Okay, so there is high connection between agriculture and nutrition. I talked about these various pathways, and identifying the interactions is very important using the data and analytics. And finally, all this research in the last 25 years resulted in a book that is at the PhD level that US University is teaching. We wrote this book like about now 6-7 years ago. It's called Nutrition Economics. It's the first book of that nature where we bring in all these concepts of economics applied to nutrition. And I'm happy to share some chapters if someone is interested in that kind of area. I can also teach a course if as we go along. As for some people who are interested in it, it doesn't take a lot of time for me, but I'll be happy to connect with some people who are interested in that. I just want to throw this for you to know that constant research over many years can result in high quality products recognized at the world level. And you can do that from India also. I just want to motivate you. Like I said, all I know agriculture is from my Anomaly Agriculture faculty, the professors who taught me. And I'm so grateful to the university. And then whenever our university calls me for anything, I immediately say yes, because I feel there is a debt that I have to pay back for the university and for my country. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Sir, please, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Suresh. Do you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, thank you. It was a wonderful lecture. I had the opportunity to listen to your lecture in full, and it was a pleasant experience. I am grateful to you. I have one just anxiety arising out of me. As
Right.
you know, and as we know, we have been doing this integrated farming system of rice, fish, poultry in India and Nepal as well. And I have been tracking the impact of this farming system intervention on first livelihood, then it was over, and now secondly on nutrition, that was also over, and now on water use efficiency, that is almost completed. And one thing I could see in most of these sustainable rural livelihood security projects in NAIP World Bank projects is when the farmers' income were raised, almost doubled or tripled even in with rice, fish, poultry, we say that it has tripled the farmer's income. The literacy rate of the children of the farming households are increasing. They are able to take better, say for example, those who are going to government schools, now they are sending it to private schools. They are able to pay the fees, something like that. And if I say that in a crude way, sometimes say the other factors like some of the family members may be involved in doing other small revenue generating activities like motor rewinding or something like that. Is it possible to pull out such of those factors and track exactly what this adoption of farming system has contributed for literacy, improved literacy?
It is possible. Actually, it is possible. I can give you some references. It's possible now with this big data that we are talking about. It's possible with the new analytical techniques that are coming out. I just want to give you an example, just to appreciate what you are saying. I talked about the school feeding program that I researched when I was doing my master's work in Tamil Nadu Agriculture University. Now, scientists are going back to the mothers of the people who went to school and ate school feeding program and look at the children, their children now, and look at, so in the 80s, they would have been elementary school children eating school nutrition. Now they are in their 30s, 35, 40 years old, and they are looking at the child nutritional status of those mothers.
Okay.
And finding out that children who went to school feeding program when they were young, and their children are now better nourished compared to the children who went to schools where there was no school lunch. Okay. So it is intergenerational kind of study is possible. And in similar way, we can look at how farmers' income are in fact useful for the literacy of the second generation, right? Next generation. So it is really possible to do that. So the data is emerging, and it is going to be very useful to look at from that perspective as well.
Okay then. Thank you, Suresh. Thanks for the nice lecture and for your explanation. Thank you.
So thank you,
sir.
Thanks
for staying, Kadresan. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
So it was really a proud moment for us to listen to one of our alumni from the other part of the globe. In fact, it was food for thought with all the essential nutrients for healthy thinking as well as research. Sir, with your rich experience, you could draw on experience examples from your experience as a researcher with a number of international organizations. I'm sure that the participants would have harvested a lot of useful information from your extensive as well as impressive lecture. So thank you very much for sparing your time with us and for your elaborate keynote address. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Happy day for you. Now, the inaugural comes to a close with a vote of thanks. I would like to invite Dr. K. Sanjeevi, Assistant Professor of Library and Information Science and Deputy Director IQAC, to propose a vote of thanks.
Revered Vice Chancellor, respected Professor Suresh Babu from USA, the keynote speaker of today's program, my dear participant, good evening to all and good morning to the keynote speaker. The IQAC team profusely thanks our Vice Chancellor who has accepted our invitation and inaugurated the short-term training program even amidst this busy schedule. We thank Professor Suresh Chandra Babu, Head Capacity Strengthening Program ESA, for his valuable time spent with us and to deliver the keynote address. Thank you, sir. We thank the organizing committee members for arranging a very useful program for the benefit of the research scholars and faculty members. We extend our sincere thanks to all the participants for their enthusiasm. Last but not least, we thank all the supporting staff of the IQAC for their contribution to successful completion of this training program. Thank you, one and all. Participants, please stay with us. Within a few seconds, we are going to start our first session. The first speaker, the Professor, I welcome Professor P.N. Raghunath Nataraj, retired Professor of Education, Annamalai University, to introduce the today's first session guest.
I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. K. Bharati, Head of the Department of Library and Information Science, Osmania University. Let me present her biodata in brief. She is a member of the selection committee in various colleges. She is a member of Ruza Center, Government of Telangana, Hyderabad. She is a member of the panel interview board, Telangana Social Welfare Residential Educational Institution Society, Hyderabad. She is the chairman in charge, Board of Studies, Department of Library Science, Telangana University, Nizamabad. And she has published 16 articles and edited 3 books. She is a panel reviewer for African Educational Research Journal. She is the recipient of 3 gold medals for her CLISC, BLISC, and MLISC examination. She has been honored by the Institute of Cost Accountants of India, Hyderabad chapter, honored by Honorable Rosia, ex-Governor of Tamil Nadu, on the occasion of Teachers' Day, honored by Justice Chandra on the occasion of International Women's Day, honored by Agarwal Shiksha Samiti on the occasion of Republic Day celebrations, invited by Prime Minister's Office, New Delhi, to witness Republic Day parade. She has received 3 awards: Ideal Teacher Award in 2018, Best Librarian Award 2010, and Merit Student Award in 1993. She is a life member in various professional organizations. She has contributed to corporate life by participating in various associations. Now I request Madam K. Bharati to give her lecture.
Thank you so much, sir. It's my pleasure to be associated with this 2-week virtually conducted multidisciplinary short-term training program by Annamalai University. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity, and I take the inaugural session, the inaugural speech made by Professor Suresh Chandra Babu and the introductory remarks made by our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Professor Kathiresan, to take the lead to start my presentation. I am given the topic of introduction of research. I hope all those who joined this program are academic researchers. Why I am saying this is, we all are researchers from the birth itself. A child, when he is playing, when he wants to get something from their parents, they also do some research how to attract and how to get their works done, right? And in the same way, we have so many experiences from morning till evening. We will be doing some research casually, but we will not name it as academic research. So let us just put an opening for what is research. As I think this program is conducted with the intention to instigate or inspire or motivate all of the participants, as well as let us also try to pull up or recap ourselves about what the research is, why we are conducting, why we have to, and all this. If we can have a recap, I think that will make us motivated to take up a research again. So when I wanted to express what is research in the casual terms, because everyone knows the definitions, but let us take it in the lighter way of it, that research is nothing but what everyone will see around us is same. But what we think about it is different, and that gives a thought for a person to take up a research. That is what is research according to Albert Z. And again, as our chief guest was saying, that problem solving, that whatever research we take up, it should end up with a problem solving. So we have to identify the problems. We have to provide some decision-making terms for the society or to our subject in order to address some long pending problems or in order to solve the research gap. So as our time is very short, I will try to rush up, and I say that every human invention will come up with progress, some benefit, but still our needs or our satisfaction or our containment will not end. So again and again, we'll try to improve ourselves with the research. So human needs will never end, as well as the research will follow it to continue that journey. So research makes our life easy. So in our society, if we can take up broadly, we'll identify three types of research. One is research that we casually do to come up the immediate problem which we encounter, and another one is market research, and a third one is academic research. So as I'm telling you, from morning till night, we will do so many problem solving issues, and we'll try to, if you are interested in cooking, you will try with a new recipe, or if you are interested in gardening, you will do some experiment or some research, and you will try to come up with something new. That is also a research. But if you take up a market research is a research where the intention is to how to attract the customers, how to promote the product, or how to solve a problem, or how to earn more profit will be the agenda of the market research. Then coming to academic research, as we all are gathered here, as we all have the intention of acquiring some degree for our purpose. So either it can be Doctor of Philosophy, or it can be postdoctoral research, or it can be a research project, whether it can be minor or major, or it can be for the DLit, Doctor of Literature. So these academic degrees are awarded by the academic institutions like universities, and it will be a formal qualification. So in order to pursue this degree, we need to take up a research topic which is not taken up by anyone else till now, or we have to identify the gap in our field, and we have to take up, we have to pool the data, we have to compile it, and we have to provide, or we have to submit a thesis or report to our authorities. So basing on the review of it, our degrees are awarded. So I should say that the rest, market research or the daily life research, is very casual, but the academic research will be a systematic way. That is, it has to go in a systematic order. We have to establish what we wanted to convey out of our research. So that is based on the data that we are going to collect. And we have to critically explain the reasons. We have to analyze and interpret the data in such a form that it can make a sense of what we wanted to come out as an outcome of our research. As our chief guest was saying, that research is a process which is taken up in all disciplines, whether it can be a chemical reaction, whether it can be a photosynthesis or whatever it may be, whether it can be to solve an existing theory, or whether it can be for the treatment of any disease, or to improve the production or growth of anything. So various disciplines will have various gaps or various interests on which the research is taken up. So as I have to tell you that research is a process of investigation. That is, we are taking up a problem and we are trying to identify the reasons. As our chief guest was saying, that how the nutrition or the malnutrition affects and how is the impact of the gender. In the same way, in various disciplines or various subjects, we have various things to investigate. And we will try to dig out the truth of it, and we will try to enhance the subject area with our knowledge. And if there are any confusions, and we'll try to make it. And as again, in decision making or policy making, the research will find. As the term itself says, again and again, we are searching to identify a new thing. So in order to collect the data, or in order to pool the information for any research topic, we need some sources where we can get the information. So for any research, we will get the information from the experiences. That is, what all experiences we had will give us an information, and that will help us, human beings who worked on that particular area or topic, or the thought content or the contribution that has been made by writers in their books, or the articles that have been published by serious experts, or the nature itself will give us so many facts and figures that will help us. And finally, laboratories and libraries are also the sources of information. So in order to take up a research, identification of the research topic is very, very crucial. I think a researcher must have a main quality of keen observation. If you have keen observation into your area or subject area, then you'll find so many things to take up for your research. For example, I have given again few pictures for your understanding that, like everyone else, Newton was also sitting under a tree. Like everyone, all of us will be observing that an apple is falling from the tree. But no one thought that no one tried to explain the reason behind it. So as I have given in the first slide that everyone will see the same thing, but only the researcher's mind will try to attract the topic or try to justify the reasons for what is happening. Just as the aeroplane which we are seeing, just as the birds are flying, why can't we fly in the sky was the dream of the person who has developed the aerospace. As here, if you can see this, it is a big library having huge number of books. A person was trying to identify the book he wanted from the discipline of or the subject of mathematics. So he found that one book is in the lower shelf and another book in the other shelf and another book in the other shelf. So he tried to understand why these books are scattered. My subject of interest is mathematics, but still my books are scattered on the shelves. And this led to the development of library classification scheme. He is none other than Melville Dewey or Dr. S.R. Ranganathan who has done. And here again, if you see, every day we will make rotis for our food. So a person who was seeing the family members making the rotis, he tried to make it with a roti maker. He developed a roti maker. So we are not satisfied with the roti maker, right? So in that also we have to press, we have to heat the flour. But here, now today we have roti makers, Rotimatic in the market. That is, just if you add flour here, this will take up the water, it will knead itself and it will come out with the rotis. So a keen observation of what is happening around will give us the ideas. Here is another example. As we all are just gathered here to identify or motivate ourselves for any research topic. Here, if you can see, one lady is mopping the floor, right? And simultaneously, his child is playing with the remote with the car. He is not taking up that much strain to move the car, right? And at the same time, someone felt that when we are moving a car with remote, why not we move this mop with the remote? That's how floor mopping robots are developed. So when we are trying to move the robot mopping floor, why can't we use the technology for our agriculture? Today, if we find, we are having the driverless tractors that are coming up. That is the latest innovation that has come up. And if you see, even mobile operated driverless electric tractors are coming. These will help the agriculturists in producing more crops that are required for our society. So the main purpose of research, in other words, is to explain, explore, and describe. So as we all know, I think the digital revolution, in other words, called third generation industrial revolution, that is the internet and the ICT revolution, has made us all to join here virtually from the various parts of the country and from the rest of the world. It is a global village now. We are following the protocols of the pandemic, and as well, we are trying to update our knowledge, trying to motivate ourselves or inspire ourselves to the betterment of our discipline or our society, or personally, if we can complete one program, we may be awarded 1 or 2 increments, or we may be promoted. So finally, the progress is the agenda of our joining today. So as I'm telling you that the digital revolution has impacted in every sphere of life, whatever it may be, morning till evening. If you want to connect to a family or if you want to travel somewhere, the internet and the web is helping us. So this internet, ICT tools are better ways for us to communicate, to learn, to spend time, or to interact. So as a result of this, we have changed. What is that change? I think all of you have enrolled from the remote places to register yourself to this training program by paying online mode of fee, right? So e-commerce have developed with ICT. Flight bookings have come. E-flight bookings are the trending. E-tax payment. We are not going to any office today for our tax payment, but online we are paying. E-content has been developed. We are reading online journals. We are reading e-books, and we are attending e-classrooms and e-lectures like this. And we are learning. E-libraries are established, and e-science is developed. Then why not e-research? Why not e-research? That is the trend of the day. As if you want to know what is e-research, e-research is the term used for the use of ICT, that is information and communication technologies, that will facilitate the internet-based research. That is, we are using internet and we are using ICT tools that are coming up, which are emerging or which are evolving every day, and we are trying to use it for our research purpose. So all the disciplines, all the subjects, irrespective of whether it is a language research or it is a history research or it is an environmental research or biomedical research or science, whatever it may be, ICT tools are developing so as we can use these ICT tools for our research. And another advantage of research is collaboration. Even if the supervisor is in one country or one continent and the scholar is in another place, remotely, as we are speaking with our family or interacting with our family with videos and chats and other modes, similarly, we can interact with the supervisors and we can have collaboration with our peer people, peer generation, and we can collaborate with our subject fellows who are interested to join us in our research. And as we all are been doing that, computation. For computation, we are using Control C, as research is very much populated in this electronic world as Control C and Control V. And it is not in fact the Control C and Control V, but it will help us to compose. As we all know that if we are submitting any thesis or any article, we have to rewrite it, we have to revive it, we have to edit it a number of times. These ICT tools, these Microsoft Word or other tools will help us in reviving it or editing it in any number of times much easier than our manuscripts. And we have many visualization tools in the online mode, which will help us to immediately translate the data into the graphs or pie charts or whatever it may be. And we can also manage the research data. As sir was saying about the malnutrition and the school going children's food and all. So these ICT tools will allow us to preserve and store the data also for a long period. And we can transfer this data of what we have stored to the next generations or to the next people who are trying to take up in the same area. As we all are familiar with, the ICT will facilitate with the reference management as well. So e-research is defined by UK's Joint Information Systems, as it is a development of information computation technologies to facilitate the research process. So if you want to know the origination of this term, it has come up from the e-science. The e-science is the base for the development of e-research. As I'm trying to impress you that the ICT tools and technologies will help in the research process, in the life cycle of the research process, in creating, sustaining, collaborating, discovering, analyzing, processing, publishing, storing, and sharing the research data and information. As you all know, publication is also a main target or main process, or one of the things that has to be there in the research life cycle. So the e-journals or the journal finders will help us in identifying the journal in which we can publish, and in the online mode we can submit our script and we will have a review of it, and we can access that also in the immediate response. So if you can see, the same old things will be there in the research life cycle of the e-research also. That is, first we will try to identify the research gap, identify the topic. So for that, we will try to know what research have been done already. So we'll try to know the literature, search for it. So in order to locate what has been done, what is the state of art of the subject, we need to go to the libraries or some other places. But internet and ICT tools have given us the facility to have the literature search in online mode. We can have the review of the literature, and we can discover the data, we can collect the data, we can prepare it, and we can fuse with, say, other factors, we can analyze, and we can publish it also. So sitting in front of the desk, we can complete our research process. As we have to know that today we have virtual labs also. The science community, if they are with the laboratories, today we have the virtual labs. The chemistry titrations or experiments can also be done virtually. And if you have to pull up if you want to interview your supervisor or other people, we have all these modes like Skype or other things where you can directly interact with your supervisor or other people and collect the data, or you can send online questionnaires or surveys to our people. So in order to identify the research topic, first thing is we have to know the gap in the subject area. I think those who are in India or those who are already registered into their research groups, they might be aware of the reservoir of Indian theses and major research projects, which are all compiled at one place, which is called Shodh Ganga. Shodh Ganga is a reservoir of Indian theses where all the completed research works of the Indian universities are at a place compiled, so that if you want to know what research or what are the topics that have been already compiled or already been done, if you can go there, you will find the thesis. So if you see today, these are the number of theses that are uploaded, and even major research projects or postdoctoral fellows have to submit their reports, which are also being uploaded into Shodh Ganga. Shodh Ganga is a reservoir of what has been completed. So in order to know what is ongoing or what has been taken up by others in other parts of the country, Shodh Gangotri is another site or a reservoir where research in progress can be identified. So if you want to know what are the topics that are already registered, you can use this source for your research topic identifications. As I am telling, we are in the ICT world, we are in the global village, we are not confined to what is happening in our own country, but we wanted to know the international status of the topics, or what are the topics that have been taken up, what have been completed already. So for that, we have networked digital library thesis and dissertations site where all the dissertations, electronic thesis and dissertations of the entire universities. It is a platform to store, and there are various countries electronic thesis and dissertations sites where they are trying to upload, so that whatever research has been taken up, it has to be given to the global world. So open up the research output is the target of these sources. So if you can take up, I can tell you that after the identification of the research topic, we need to collect the data on it. So as we all know, we have so many e-journals that are there in every subject. For your information, DOAJ, Directory of Open Access Journals, is a site where all subjects, open accessly available journals are at one place. You also have DOAB, Directory of Open Access Books, at one place. And you also have DOAR, that is Directory of Open Access Repositories of all the subjects are compiled. For that facilitates for any discipline to identify their subjects, identify their information, which will help in their review of literature. As we may be needing census and statistics for our research purpose, and these ICT tools or these web tools are giving us the live status of the census and statistics that facilitates to accommodate in our research. And tabulation of the collected data is also so easy in the ICT environment. And when we want to have a questionnaire or survey basing on the research topic, if you want to have an survey or questionnaire for your research collection, data collection, these are the sites, as I have to tell you: Qualitrix, Survey Monkey, Survey Sparrow, Question Pro, Survey Gizmo. All these are the platforms that will help you, and these are in fact very interesting, and these are interactive, and these will also help us to simultaneously tabulate, and we can update the information. As we all may not be perfect or expert in the language, because if we are from the other subjects, we may not be fluent in our grammar, or we may be not fluent in the language. So when we wanted to submit it in a to an university, to an academic body to achieve or to get awarded with the highest degree, the grammar and language part is also very important. So ICT or web tools are also there, which will help us in the grammar checking and the language improvement. So we have Grammarly or Trink AI, which helps us in the grammar checking process. As in order to compile, or in order to collect the data, as we all have to follow the ethics, that is, we have to acknowledge and we have to pay our gratitude to all the contributors or the thought processes that have contributed to our research work. It is mandatory to acknowledge them. So citations or references are mandatory for any research. So basing on the subject area, basing on the citation style, today we have a good number of reference management tools like Mendeley or EndNote and so on and so forth. There are good number of reference management tools. I have just identified one or two to help you. As again, when we are trying to pull the data from other sources, it has been identified that Control-C and Control-V have become very popular in the research field. So in order to check the copying and pasting, or in other words, the stealing of others' thoughts and making it to our own, plagiarism has become mandatory in all the universities. So in order to check the plagiarism, we have various tools like Turnitin, Urkund, or Authenticate, which are the main things that are helping us in checking. Even we have so many open access plagiarism checkers that will help us to know where we have missed to cite or acknowledge the data or information we have taken up. So as I am telling you, it is mandatory for every researcher to publish the outcome of the research. So in this process, publication in journals is mandatory. So we can't be going on to libraries to know who is the editor, what are the address and other things. We have various sources to identify the subject areas or the journals in our field, and if we can send it online mode, they will accept it and we will be informed the status of it. So in that way, ICT is also helping in the publication. And in fact, we heard that 1/3 time of publication is also saved in this online publication. And every researcher will try to know when they have published an article, they would like to know how far it is reached or how many are downloading it, how many are utilizing it. So today we have altmetrics, in other words called alternative metrics, to measure that where our research publication has reached. That altmetrics will give us a measure of each article that has been published. So this will help us to know, for ourselves, it will help us to know where our publication is reached. That is, if you want to have a collaboration with someone who are interested, so this altmetrics will help us. And if you want to know how much of familiarity you have achieved by your publication, you can know. And even today in the Western world, they are using altmetrics for the research grant funding also. So when a researcher is approaching for the funding to some agency, they are also seeing the altmetric score of the researcher. In this process, we have various digital research tools also that have been developed. As we can't be going on trying to locate what tools we have for our research, there is a directory of research tools by name DIRT, which have come up, which is pooling up, which is trying to accommodate all the digital humanities research tools at one place. And it is for the scholarly people, that is for the researchers, those who want to use it, they can register and they can know about it. DIRT is a site. In other words, it is digital research tools directory where you will find all the digital research tools. And those who are interested in biological and environmental sciences, this being a multidisciplinary training program, those who are interested in biological or environmental sciences research work, Data One is one source where all the observations that have been taken up in the form of in the biological and environment science are pooled up, and you can utilize this for your research or for some innovation. As I'm telling you, supervision, doctoral research supervision also can be done in the virtual environment. Accepting all this, understanding the reality of e-research in the present environment, the Western world has already forwarded with establishing e-research centers in their universities. For example, Oxford has come up with Oxford e-research center. The health research that is coming up has been taken a lead in developing health e-research center. In the similar way, these two universities from Australia also have set up e-research centers. I think this is the need of the hour, that because of the situation around and because of the ICT tools and techniques that are developed, I think we all must develop in our universities e-research centers, so that all the research tools that are coming up, if we can compile at one place and if we can give an awareness to our researchers, I think this will facilitate for more and more fruitful research to come up in the coming generations. As I'm telling you, every researcher, when taking up the research, must have all these qualities. It is not new to us, but I think we all must know that observation and serious reading, that is what is happening in their subject area, must be thoroughly read by the researchers. That will instigate or that will direct them to understand the state of art, as well as to get an idea of what he has to pursue, so that all the critical thinking, analytical thinking, and more important, patience. Patience is the very important quality that every researcher must have. and taking initiative, communication, time management, and all these are important qualities for any researcher to have. And again, as I am telling you, research is not based on individual tasks. It is based on the collection of information from various sources. These various sources are to be acknowledged honestly, and we have to have an openness to pay our gratitude to them. And we all can use the information. All the information that is published is for use. But the thing is, having the responsibility of acknowledging is more important. So every research must follow the ethics. That is honesty, objectivity, integrity, and openness, and must take care of the intellectual property rights, and legitimately we have to use it, and we should not be tabulating, or we should not be tampering the data in our work. So honesty should be the task of any researcher. Then only we will have a good output which is useful for the society. So as I wanted to tell you that no doubt information communication technology will assist researchers in accessing or acquiring the information that is available, will help in storing their collected information, will help in tabulation, will help in disseminating, will help in preserving the collected information for a long time. But one thing cannot be replaced by these ICTs or web or emerging or evolving technologies is human intelligence. It is only the human intelligence which has to give a critical analysis, which must have an observation, which needs explanation for all the facts and figures that have been collected. So human intelligence is the best research factory for any research to come out to this society. I expect that this training program will help all the researchers or upcoming researchers to follow all this and better utilize all these ICT tools for their research work, and at the same time acknowledge, cite, and giving importance to others' valued work is equally important. And I hope each one of you are successful in giving a good research output after your research work. I should acknowledge all the thought-giving sources that benefited me for preparing this lecture. I acknowledge them with my citations here, and I thank the organizers and of Annamalai University for inviting me or giving me an opportunity to meet all the scholars on this virtual mode. I thank and I hope this will benefit the researchers in taking up e-research or thinking about ICT tools for their research work. Thank you one and all.
Thank you very much, madam, for your wonderful presentation on introduction to research, especially with reference to academic research. So, madam, in her presentation, has touched upon what is research, why research, e-research, and use of ICT in research, and other things in detail. I hope all the participants would have immensely benefited by her lecture. Thank you very much, madam, once again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, may I call upon Dr. K. Sailila, Assistant Professor, Department of Education, to introduce the next speaker of the day.
Good evening to all. Our next resource person is Dr. Paraksha, Associate Professor from HL College of Education, Statistics, HL College of Statistics, Gujarat. Sir has academic experience of more than 22 years and currently an Associate Professor of Statistics at HL College, Ahmedabad. Sir has acquired analytical skills through courses from renowned institutes like CMC Vellore, IIT Kharagpur, IIT Hyderabad, Duke University, USA, and IBM. Sir is author of more than 15 books, some of which in Tata McGraw-Hill. Sir is in editorial board of number of research journals. Sir has more than 25 research articles in his name published in national and international journals. Sir has been invited as speaker and resource person in many renowned institutions of national and international repute. He also provides analytical consulting services to various industries. Sharing his statistics expertise by special lectures for CA, CMA, MBA, ACCA students and students of other professional courses. Sir is now here for our program to train our participants. We are very happy to have Dr. Paraksha with us. Sir, please handle the session, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for the nice words. And before I start with my today's expert talk, I would like to congratulate the IQAC of Annamalai for organizing this short-term training program on research methodology and data analysis. And to my surprise, the numbers are outstanding. The numbers of registration that you have received, I think it is mind-blowing and it is really good. And you all, the organizer needs a congratulations and a big round of applause for your effort in bringing out the experts that you've invited and the researchers, those who are from the various domains, to come under one platform. And there'll be a good exchange of ideas in terms of the support that they will be getting from the sessions of this long short-term training program. And also they will be motivated to go for research, which is, I think, missing out in the Indian universities. And so that is why our new education policy is stressing more on research. And nice to see these numbers that this many faculties and the research scholars and the upcoming researchers are interested in the research methodology and also how to do the data analysis. My portion will be the other half of it. As Bharti ma'am has given you a flavor about the topics about what is research and how to explore e-research and how to have a different type of resources available to you, which you can utilize for your own research, how to view the current scenario in terms of problem solving and all. So it was a very nice, brief presentation that it's given. I will be focusing on the second part of it. That is, what is data? Then which are the different statistical techniques that you should use it? And more importantly, I'll be focusing on the right kind of statistics that you should use for your data. Because I have seen, as I'm into many associated with many research journals, I see the many research papers, they don't focus on the right statistics, because statistics is not a part of everyone's domain. But the basic things that will be discussed over here, I assure you that after that, all the 600 plus participants will be using right statistics for their own data. So that much I can assure you that that effort in this, I think now it is almost 1 hour left out. So in this 1 hour, I'll be taking about exact idea about different scenarios of data and which statistics, which graphs, which graphical representation should be used appropriately for your data, because that is the first stepping stone. If you see any research papers and if you see any research project reports, you will see there are graphs, there are diagrams, you can say. That is a graphical representation of the data. There are some tests, hypothesis testing are there. There are some summary statistics used. But more importantly, it should not be like viewed in that way that, okay, pie chart is more colorful than the bar chart, so we'll be using a pie chart, or at least every research paper should have a t-test, so we should also go for a t-test. All that basic false notion, I'll clarify today. And then we'll switch over to the actual hypothesis testing and all in the subsequent sessions. Okay. I hope the screen is visible now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. Okay. So the session flow for today, it will be what is data, types of data, levels of measurement. I think this is something which I'll be stressing more on because it is missing in many of the basic books of statistics, and this is very important for the data analysis part. Summary statistics, different type of summary statistics that you can use it. Again, I'll be stressing more on which summary statistics to use for your data set. Same way, types of charts, and again, which chart to use. So that is how we will be planning out today's session. I'll be checking your chats also. So if you have any query at the end, I would request one of the organizers to check it out and let me know it one by one so that I can answer to all the queries. So that, because many of you might be having their own data sets ready, they might be having different questions regarding to the data analysis. So I'll be more than happy to clear all your doubts so that you take your research in the right direction. Okay. First of all, we'll talk about data. Now tell me, if I ask you that out of the 4 things that I've shown it over here, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and this is 4, suppose. Out of this 4, which is the data? What is categorized as data? You can write down in the chat box. Which of this is the data? Murugan sir? Okay, you can just write it down in the chat box. It's okay. Okay, that's good. Okay, so normally what happens that when we talk about data, the first thing that comes into our mind is the numbers. And so we feel that this is data. This is the only data that we have it out of this 4. But actually it is not the case. This is also a data. This is also a data. This is also a data. And this is also a data. All these 4 are different types of data. So first thing that you need to understand is data doesn't mean it is only numbers. It can be text. It can be images. Or it can be videos. Many of you might be aware about this. This is numeric data where you have numbers and all. Text is also a huge I would say a big oil of the data analysis nowadays which is used. It is used by Facebook, it is used by Instagram, it is used by YouTube and all. They use the text that you are using it for their own data analysis to evaluate the Instagram user, to evaluate the YouTuber, to evaluate the Facebook user. If I just give a simple idea about it, in one of my research paper, what I've done it, in the YouTube, you know that a new movie is released. Before that, there are some trailers shown on the movie, trailers shown on the YouTube. So trailers are released, or a teaser we can say, are released on YouTube. That is a video is given. After seeing the video, after seeing that teaser, after seeing that idea about the picture, everyone comments below it that it was a super hit. It was we are expecting and we are very much eager to see the movie of that kind. Suppose the latest movie Pushpa also we say, then again it will be saying it is a mind-blowing movie and it is worth watching and all that. Someone will say, okay, it is a very repetition of what we have seen before and all that. So there are certain comments which is below the YouTube video. What I did was, using that text, I use sentiment analysis. So sentiment analysis is a very big and a new field that is now coming up in India. No doubt it is used abroad. It is coming up in India where texts are analyzed. So what I did, the YouTube idea that was given to us, videos, comments was given, I classified into positive, negative, and neutral. So there are softwares that are available which we can classify the text directly into positive, negative, and neutral comments. Based on that, I found out the ratio of positive comments. And based on it, based on the number of the positive comments, the ratio of the positive comments, I predicted the movie collection, box office collection. Box office collection. And then I verified with the upcoming movies and what was the collection and what was the prediction that I made it. And it was a good paper published in a very good research journal. So that is the point I was trying to say, that even the text can be utilized as your data. In Facebook also, the images that you upload, in Instagram, the videos or short videos that you upload, they are actually analyzed, and that company is perceiving your image. They are perceiving about your aptitude, your liking, your disliking, and based on that, the advertisement is done, target marketing is done. So even the images, the kind of images they put up frequently on the Facebook, they analyze it and they identify you as a particular personality. And based on that, they will show you a particular segment of advertisement. So that is a big industry that is coming up over here. Then it is videos. And because of this franchise system in the sports, video analytics is coming in a very big way in India. If you check about the IPL, the amount of the data that they collect, each team collects, is humongous. It is a humongous. You might have seen I think the Inside Edge that is on OTT platform. It is available. It is a very good series, Inside Edge. And here also they are talking about video analytics. Every batsman, every bowler is analyzed. What is their weakness? What is the strength? Where to bowl? Where not to bowl? Where the batsman frequently gets out? Where the back foot is not properly working it out. Same way for the footballers. How many times he has used the right leg? How many times he has used the left leg? How many successful passing on the right leg? All that analysis is done based on the video analytics. So all these are data. First of all, let me clarify. I'm giving you a very bigger picture. All these are data. No doubt, right now, the program is focused only on this type of data. But I didn't want to narrow it down that this is the only data. This all are data, but we will focus only right now on this kind of data, that is numbers and all. Okay. So what is data now? Data is nothing else but collection of facts or information. So here it is not given numbers. It is not collection of numbers. Mind well, it is collection of facts or information from which conclusions can be drawn. Only collection, it is called data storage. That is not that is not important for us. If you are not able to collect information or give proper conclusion for it, then it is just a simple collection of the information. So data is collection of facts or information from which conclusions can be derived. Now, this you all know. Data, you can say it is a qualitative data or a quantitative data. This I'm a little bit rushing it up because we know that this is very simple. Qualitative data means which are non-numeric. Like gender, we say it is male, female. Religious affiliation, we just classify. That is Hindu or a Christian, or it may be Sikh, or it may be Muslim, and so on. State of birth, it's again an attribute. It may be Tamil Nadu, it may be Gujarat, it may be Jammu, it may be Delhi, it may be UP, and whatnot. Condition of the patients, we'll say is in a bad condition. The patient's COVID patient is right now is the Omicron is not so severe, so the condition of the patient is moderate. Words, images, videos, all this will be considered as a qualitative data. So every non-numeric data is called a qualitative data, and all the numeric data will be called as a quantitative data. So this all are, again, this is basic classification of data and data analysis also. A very different technique is used for qualitative data and a different technique is used for quantitative data. We'll be focusing on this part majorly. No doubt we'll be going with this also, but majorly we'll be focusing on this kind of data where the numbers are dealt with the data, like time in seconds for 400-meter race, age of corona patients, the number of WBC cells, the number of deaths due to corona, the number of the vaccinated patients or number of vaccinated population or individuals in the state of Tamil Nadu, in the state of Gujarat, or in maybe the state, maybe a particular city also. All that will be called as a quantitative data. So the numbers, numeric part, that is quantitative, and non-numeric part will be called as a qualitative. I think this classification is very simple and you know that. Okay. In quantitative, we can again classify as discrete and we can classify as continuous also. Okay. Discrete means it assumes only certain values. Range is small and the values are taking only certain, variable is taking only certain values. Say, for example, I asked number of children in the family. In whichever locality we are living in, if you go into that society and we go house to house and ask number of children, then our answer will be 0, 1, 2, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. And so our answer will range from 0 to 3 or 0 to 4 only. And there will be more repetition of the data. That kind of variable is called discrete. Right? Number of two-wheelers, number of four-wheelers in every household. So if I ask number of four-wheelers, your answer may be 1, 0, 2, 3 maximum, okay? Or 4, we can say. So if you go to any household in the society, any houses in the society, the answer will be either 0 or 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 and so on. So range is small and there is much repetition. That kind of data is called discrete variable, discrete quantitative data. The other is continuous, where range is large and it can take any value in that given range. If I ask a very simple part, income of individuals in Kerala, you can see the range may be very large per month. Monthly income of individuals in Kerala state. So the income may range from 0 to say 50 lakhs per month. So range is very large. And if you go to each and every individual, the repetition will be very less because the income may be 1,25,420. The other's income may be 1,20,470. The other's income may be 5,30,425. So there will be less repetition in it. Range is large, there is less repetition. That is called continuous variable. Getting the idea? Okay. Now I'll clarify a little bit something which is falsely interpreted from the books. I've seen many of the teachers, even professors also even talking that values which are not in decimal, they are discrete. Values which can be in decimal, they are called continuous. Reason why I'm explaining that, because if you see all the examples, number of pregnancy, it cannot be in decimal. Number of missing teeth, it cannot be in decimal. Number of visits made by the doctor, it cannot be in decimal. So because of this, we have a false notion that whichever it is without decimal, it will be discrete. Whichever it can be in decimal, it is continuous. But again, it is wrong. I'll give an example. If I talk about Amul milk, we know it is coming in pouches. Amul milk, it comes in pouch of 500 ml. Okay? If I assume that in Gujarat, majority are using Amul milk, are consuming Amul milk, and it is coming in pouches only. They don't take the chutak wala milk. They don't take that. They use the pouches on. So if I ask and go for a survey of the liters of consumption of milk per day consumption of milk. Okay, what I'll be getting the answer? I'll be getting the answer as 1.5, means someone is using 3 pouches. It may be 0.5, it may be 1. In a household, generally considering a nuclear family, will not go beyond 5 pouches. Daily 5 pouches is more than enough. So our answer will range from 0 to 5, but it can have a decimal value. The liters can be 1.5, it can be 2.5, it can be 0.5, it can be 3, it can be 3.5. So this is again an example of a discrete variable. Though it is in decimal, it is a case of a discrete variable. Okay, fine. I hope this is clear. Discrete and continuous data. Okay, this is the diagrammatical view or the flow chart. We can say the variables are qualitative and quantitative. In quantitative, it is discrete and continuous, and these are the examples. Okay, we have talked enough about it. Now this is important. Levels of measurement. So you understand this very clearly, because if you know the levels of measurement, then only your data analysis will be as per the requirement. So levels of measurements are 2. There are basically 2 levels of measurement. One is categorical and the other is scale. So this is the first one. In categorical, the data may be nominal or it may be ordinal. In scale, it may be interval or it may be ratio. So there are 4 levels of measurement. Getting the idea? How many levels of measurement? 4. There are 4 theoretically. I'm again saying theoretically, there are 4 levels of measurement: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. The lowest way of measurement is nominal. Then that little bit higher is ordinal. Then it little bit higher is interval. And the highest level of measurement or the best level of measurement is ratio. So the lowest level of measurement is nominal, then it can be ordinal, then it can be interval or ratio. This I'm talking about theoretical. When we go to the softwares, maybe it is an Excel, maybe it is R, maybe it is SPSS, maybe it is Python and all, we will classify it into 3: nominal, ordinal, and scale. We will not differentiate between interval and ratio. No need to differentiate between that. Okay, so that will not be an issue. No need to differentiate that. So here, but still, right now I'll clarify all 4. What is nominal level of measurement? So nominal is nothing else but a classification. It is nothing else but a classification, like gender. So out of the 600 plus participants, if I want to classify how many are males and how many are females, then that data is called a nominal level of measurement. If I classify from the cities they belong to, then again it is a nominal level of measurement. So because I'm just classifying it and I'm not ordering it, I'm not saying that males are better than females, or Kerala state is better than Gujarat state, or it is better than Tamil Nadu state, or whatnot, or Orissa and so on. We are just classifying. So that is called the nominal level of measurement. I repeat again. In this level of measurements, the data is simply classified. What it is done, it is simply classified. If I ask you which type of movies you prefer, or which sports you prefer, out of the 600, if I go for a survey and ask that which type of sports you prefer, so the options may be, it may be cricket, it may be football, it may be kabaddi, it may be volleyball, and whatnot. So suppose I have given up 5 options for this, which is the most favorite sports. And this is the answer that will be given. So all 600 now participants are classified based on their liking of sports. This is called nominal level of measurement. Okay, nominal is nothing else but simply classifying into maybe 2 categories or more than 2 categories. Generally, the best example that we use is gender. In all your research, generally when you collect the data, this is one of the questions that we ask about the gender. So this kind of data that we'll be having is male, it may be female, third person may be male, again it is male, and so on. This variable is called nominal level of measurement. Okay, okay, fine. Second is ordinal. Ordinal, the word itself suggests when the data is ordered from low to high or high to low. Say the workshop feedback or the session feedback. And suppose after the workshop, this 15 days short-term training program, it is asked to give the feedback, right? And it is asked to rate or give the feedback about the workshop that you attended. So it may be very bad, it may be bad, it may be neutral, it may be good, it may be very good. This kind of data is nothing else but ordinal level of data. You might have gone to a mall, and there also after the mall, or if you purchase certain item, even the Swiggy and Zomato and online also, whenever you order, then there is a feedback they ask for. Rate, so there may be a rating also, 1, 2, 3, 4 in the scale of 5, it may be a scale of 10. It is just nothing else but ordered data. So that is called an ordinal level of measurement. If I ask the severity of the pain, okay, severity of the pain, then again it will be the same thing. Some may say it is very mild pain, some may say it is moderate, some may say it is severe pain. So this mild, moderate, and severe, if that is the data that you have collected, then it is ordinal level of measurement. Interval, right now I'm not going into that integrity, otherwise you'll confuse yourself, but simple interval and level, interval or ratio level of measurement, I'm clubbing this two. So interval and ratio is nothing else but where addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division is meaningful. This means if I ask about the income, okay, if I ask about income, right? So income, some may say the answer is 15 lakh rupees per annum. Some may say it is 20 lakhs per annum. So those who are earning 7.5 lakhs per annum, and those who are earning 15 lakhs, I can say this is double the amount than 7.5. So 15 lakhs is double 7.5. And that is true. This is called ratio. But here I cannot say, if I say very bad, bad, neutral, good, and very good. I cannot say that very good means it is double than that of good, and good is double than that of neutral. So the distance doesn't matter over here. Here, the ratio and distance, everything matters over here. That is called ratio level of measurement. But we will say it is all scale. So to make things simple for you, I will say there are, for you now, because we'll be using software for the data analysis, and even for your own manual work also, you can classify it into 3. First is nominal, ordinal, and third, I am not classifying, but I'm classifying it as scale only. Looking to the varied background that you all come from, I have just inquired that you all are from very different varied background, and that is very good when we get an opportunity to interact with the individuals from varied background or researchers from varied background. So looking to that, I will not be classifying in detail about interval and ratio. Later on, if you want, I can clarify that also. But here, right now, because for data analysis, we'll focus on nominal, where it is simply classification. Ordinal means it is ranked or ordered. And scale means all other data will be called as a scale. Height, weight, income, salary. Okay, that all will be distance between the two places. the number of COVID patients, the number of deaths due to COVID in the second wave, all this will be considered as a scale. I hope it is clear. Okay. Done. So, see, this is a workshop kind of thing, and I'll be making it more interactive, but it will be difficult if all 600 start discussing with that. So what I'll do is, I will be giving you an exercise to work on right now. And now I expect you to write down in the chat box. Okay, everyone, come on. Time is less, but I still want everyone to be clear with this concept so that we can move further in it. And I'm repeating it again. I want you to answer whether the following variable is nominal, it is ordinal, or it is scale. I just want you to classify whether it is nominal, ordinal, or scale. Your first is age, mother's age in years. Mother's age in years. Which kind of level of measurement it will be? Wow, good. Okay, Rohit. Ansaya, Munish. Check karo fir se. I'm getting two different answers from here. Dekho, fir se. I'll explain it. Age of mothers. Age of mothers, if I ask all the 600 participants to give a data for the age of the mothers, age of your mother. So my answer, I may be getting it as 74 years and 3 months. I may be getting the answer as 65 years and 5 months. Some may say it is 45 years and say 1 month. Some may say it is exactly 35 years and so on, right? 55 years and so on. So this is nothing else. This is not classification. This is numbers. And so this will be scale. So for those who have written it as nominal, nominal will be classification. This is not classification. These are the numbers, actual age that we'll be getting it over here. Okay. Sure. Second, mother's weight in pound at the last menstrual period. Menstrual period में mothers की age थी, उसको classify करना है nominal, ordinal or scale. Good. Okay, Deepa ma'am, Tamanna ma'am, Devi, perfect. Now I think now you are getting up to that point. Perfect. So it is scale. No, it is scale, not ordinal. Because mother's weight, mother's age, weight of a person, height of a person, income, salary, all this will be considered as a scale because they are numbers. Now see, mother's race in US or in European countries, that is called the race. Race in the sense whether they are white, whether they are African American, whether they are Asian. So they classified in that way. The racism, the issue of racism rises with this because of the race. So either you say when we go to US, we say we are Asian. Some may say they are pure white. So they are 1. African American 2. Maybe Asian is 3. Maybe Chinese is number 4 and so on. It may be classified in that way, races. So what kind of data this is? Then individual is classified as, okay, perfect, nominal. So here don't see the numbers. Don't feel that 1 is better than 2 or 2 is better than 3 or 3 is better than 2 and 2 is better than. Numbers doesn't play any role. They are just classifying it. White, African, American, maybe Asian and so on. So this is nothing else but nominal. Why I'm taking this example? Because many times we fit into the mind nominal means only 2 categories, male and female, pass and fail. But it's not that. Nominal means simply classification into 2 or more groups. They all will be nominal. Okay. So this was scale, this was scale, this was nominal. What about this now? Smoking status. I'm not asking the number of cigarettes smoked. Okay, I'm asking smoking status, whether they are smoking or not smoking. Smoking and not smoking. So again, you can see they are classified. Individuals are classified, smokers and non-smokers. So they are just classified. So this is also nominal. Very good. Nominal level of measurement. What about this labor pain? Low, medium, severe. Ye to answer, I think I'll be expecting everyone to give the correct answer. Low pain, medium pain, severe pain. Whether it is nominal or ordinal or scale. Just let me know. Wow, what a response. Great. And everyone is correct. That is ordinal. Great. It is ordinal because we are now able to rank this. We are able to rank here. This is the lowest. Then it comes to medium. Then it comes to severe. So we are able to rank. We are able to order the options that are available. So it is called an ordinal level of measurement. Good. History of hypertension. Hypertension hai ki nahi hai? Whether you are having it or not having it. So here I'm just classifying it. Whether you have an hypertension, whether you don't have an hypertension. So this is nominal. Okay, great. The number of physicians visit during the COVID. Suppose don't take first trimester and so on, but number of physicians visit during the hospitalization because of COVID. Number of physician visits. So what you'll say? Numbers, scale. Great. Okay, Sridevi. Perfect. I think numbers are now increasing and correct answers are increasing. So this is nothing else but scale. Why scale? Because they are numbers. Directly it is given the number of physicians visit. Right? So they are called as this. Okay, what about this? Webinars feedback. Very bad, bad, neutral, good, very good. Wow, great. And now I think you are with me now. So with this, why I've taken this kind of thing? Because I want everyone to be clear with this concept so that the other concept becomes very easy for us. So this is ordinal. And I think everyone is with me now. So we are at par now. Okay. So now, once you have your own variable, now think about your variable that you are dealing with or might be dealing with. So first of all, for that type of variable, you just think about it. Aapne jo data collect kiya, the data that you have collected, in which category we can classify as per the level of measurement. Will it be nominal? Will it be ordinal? Or will it be scale? And I hope now, based on the responses that I've received, the percentage of the correct answers I'm getting it, you all are with me now. Okay. Question arises, why to know the level of measurement? Why? Okay. Why to know this? We have not used it up till now, then why now? The reason is three. One, it is used to decide the suitable summary statistics. What is summary statistics? I'll explain. But which summary statistics to take for your data? That is why level of measurements will play an important role. Second, diagrammatical representation, or what is called graphical presentation of your data. That is pie chart, bar chart, histogram, and all that. Again, which chart to use for that also level of measurement plays an important role. Third, hypothesis testing. Which t-test to use, z-test to use, or f-test to use, or ANOVA to use. You might have heard about all the statistics. It may be z-test, t-test for single mean, it may be f-test, it may be ANOVA, it may be chi-square. Which statistical test to use, that also depends on the level of measurement. So now you can understand the importance of level of measurement. All this depends on only one thing, your data type, level of measurement, which was probably in majority cases ignored. So I'll go with that basic. Okay, this is all. I'm not taking it right now. Yeah, descriptive statistics. So what is descriptive statistics? So descriptive statistics means if you have a category, this also, I'll share the slide later on, but if you want, you can take a screenshot also, or if you can take the picture also if you want. If your data is categorical, now you know what are categorical. If your data is gender, if your data is the category of purchase from Amazon, If that is your data, right, that which summary statistics to use? You can use only frequencies, relative frequencies, and cross steps. If your data is categorical, I'll give an example. If your data is having, suppose you have collected a data of 500 individuals buying on Amazon. Apne jugaad karke, you have managed to get a data from Amazon, and you have collected 500 individuals who have shopped recently from Amazon. And you are having a data, gender, category of purchase, time of purchase, the amount they have paid, the frequency of buying, and all that. Now, if you want to have a summary statistics for gender, then you can only say that males were 70% and females were 30%, or some numbers. So we can just group, we can just classify, we can just have a frequency for that. Then this type of categorical data, summary statistics will be frequency, relative frequency, and cross step. If your data is numerical, that means scale. Numerical means scale. Then we can use central tendency, dispersion, skewness, kurtosis, and all. That is mean, median, mode, range, quartile deviation, mean deviation, and all. Now, central tendency, you know, just for my knowledge, I'm giving you so that at the later stage it doesn't become a problem. Central tendency means mean, median, and mode only. Okay, and dispersion means range, interquartile range, and variance. This dispersion, it is range, interquartile range, and variance. Okay, this is what we have it. Now we know what is central tendency. I'm skipping at this. I'm going a little bit fast in that. What is central tendency? Central tendency is a number which has a tendency to be at the center of the data. Suppose your data is, this is number 1, 2, 3. These are your observations. These are your observations. Okay. So a number which tries to be at the center of the data. A number which tries to be at the center of the data, not necessarily it will be at the center, but it tries to be at the center of the data. That number is called central tendency. That is why the word is used, central and tendency, because it has a tendency to be at the center of the data. It is not necessarily always it will be exactly at the center. No, it may be, we try to be at the center of the data. So it is called central tendency. So what is central tendency? It's a number of the given data, number from the given data, which tries to be at the center of the data. There are 3 types of central tendency: mean, median, and mode. Mean is nothing else but total upon number of observations. This you all know, right? Median, what does median means? This is the middlemost observation of your data. So 50% on this side and 50% on this side, that is a median. And the value which is repeated maximum number of times, it is nothing else but mode. Okay, if I get a data from a shopping mall about the size of the shirt, which suppose I want to start my own ready-made garment shirt business, then I inquire from the different malls that which size of shirt is more frequently bought, right? So my answer may be large, I will be getting medium, I'll be getting XL, I'll be getting double XL, and so on. Okay, if they say that 10%, 20%, 50%, and 20%. So this means which is the most frequently bought size of shirt? It is XL. So mode of this data, large, medium, XL, double XL, and so on, mode of this data is XL. You cannot find out mean from that. You cannot find out median from that. Mode is nothing else but a frequently occurring observations in your data set. Okay. Dispersion, same way. Dispersion is a variability. Variability of the data. That means if this is your data, these are your observations. Okay, these are some observations. Don't go with my drawing, just imagine the numbers that you can have it. And this is suppose your central tendency. This is your central tendency. It may be mean, it may be median, it may be mode. This is our central tendency. Then the distance between, or the spread, I would say, the distance between central tendency and each observations, the spread of the data is called dispersion. How much the observations are away from or nearer to the central value is called dispersion. Disperse from what? The central value. That is called dispersion. There are various measures of dispersion. It may be range. Okay, it can be range. It can be interquartile range, or it can be variance or standard deviation. This is not given in all books, but it is used in real life for data analysis. Interquartile range is nothing else but Q3 minus Q1. Third quartile minus the first quartile. That means if you arrange your data from lowest to highest or highest to lowest, then we'll be able to find out Q1, we'll be able to find out median, we'll be able to find out Q3. Then this distance between Q1 and Q3, that distance is called interquartile range. Getting it? Interquartile range? Good. What is standard deviation? Again, you know, standard deviation is nothing else but a squared mean deviations from mean. Right now, forget about it. But in short, there are three types of frequently used dispersion. So now if I summarize this, if I say average, then it can be mean, it can be median, it can be mode. See, now why I'm stressing on this, because after this slide I'll be showing an important thing to you. That okay, let me finish this. Range, interquartile range, and say standard deviation or variance. Sure. This you know now. Now if I ask a very simple question, when to use mean? Your data is given to you, you have your own data, when we have to use mean, when we have to use median, and when we have to use mode. Any answer? When to use mean? Okay, Subhashini ma'am is saying that categorical mein. Okay. Okay, I got a very good answer. Ki jab average puchao, when average is asked, go for mean. But average is nothing else but average. It is also mean, median, and mode. So out of this three, if average is asked, what to calculate? Grade of students, okay? Let me explain now. Okay, the formula, Sugan, formula is right, total upon number of observation. My question is slightly different. Okay, Mona ma'am, yeah, you are right. Let me clarify this now. This is all what you know about the dispersion. Right now, this is not okay. I'll give the idea about this also. I may have to extend the session a little bit. Instead of 7, probably because of the getting it delayed, I'll have to extend the session. So just bear with me. I know if the participants are here right from 4 o'clock or maybe before that. But yeah, many times it happens in any physical function or virtual functions that the things get delayed. So you should be ready to sit a little bit extended hours. And I'm sure you might be doing that at your office also. So office, in many a case, it is up to 6 or maybe up to 5, but still you have to go stretch your office hours. The same way, I would expect you to be with me. I will be sharing you very, very important things which will clear all your conceptions so that the later part of data analysis becomes easy for you to understand. Okay. Skewness. So skewness can be positive, it can be negative, or there can be zero skewness. Zero skewness means it is a normally distributed data. Normally distributed data. Positively skewed means the data is elongated towards right. The tail is elongated. Yahan pe dekho, the tail is elongated towards right. Here, the tail is elongated towards left. The tail is elongated towards left. So your data, depending on which type of data you are dealing with, if I give a very basic example, efficiency of the cashier in the bank for a day. Efficiency of a banker, or we can say cashier for a day. Suppose the bank starts at 9:30. So the banker or the cashier is coming from home and is fresh and fit and having a good cup of tea or a coffee. Initially, the efficiency is at the peak. As the day passes, I think you might have observed in your case also, in my case also, as the day passes, that means after 12 o'clock, after 1 o'clock, after 2 o'clock, the efficiency decreases. So up to 5 o'clock, if the bank is working, his efficiency goes on decreasing. Initially, it is high, and then the efficiency goes on decreasing. So this is an example of a positive skewness. This is an example of where the tail is elongated towards the right-hand side. Same way, if I take an example of the number of customers going for buying a ticket at a theater, multiplex. So what will happen at, or we can say the number of movie watchers coming to the multiplex. So if the show is of 9 o'clock, 9 p.m., and if you start observing the viewers, okay, well, at what time they are coming to the multiplex, and suppose I started from 8 o'clock, what will happen? Initially at 8, 8:10, 8:15, 8:20, 8:30, there will be less number of inflow for watching the 9 p.m. movie. What happens after that? After that, when it comes closer to 9, the number of viewers will increase. It will be at the peak. This is a case of a negatively skewed distribution. Okay, when the tail is equal on both sides, then it is called a zero skewness or normally distributed data. My purpose right now is data can be normal or it cannot be normal. So not normal means it is a skewed data. I hope that is clear. So I just right now, if this is not clear, don't worry about it. Software will take care of it. But my point right now is the data can be normal or it cannot be normal. That's it. Okay. Clear. Okay. Okay. I'm skipping this kurtosis right now. We don't want. Yeah. Now this is the most important one of the slide. I would say one of the slide for deciding the summary statistics. So first of all, type of variable. Now again, remember the level of measurement. I want everyone to focus over here. Everyone. The level of measurements, either it can be categorical or it can be scale. You are all with me, and that we have checked it out with the different examples. Good. So the data can be either categorical or it can be scale. In categorical, how many types of level of measurements are there? In categorical, good. It is nominal and it can be ordinal. Great. Okay, Shubhasini ma'am. Okay. So it is nominal and ordinal. Now see the most important part. If your data is nominal, everyone over here, if your data is nominal, then central tendency that you can use is mode. And you cannot use any dispersion method for it. You cannot use. That means if I take an example, if your variable is gender, so you may classify it as male, female, or the third gender, whatever it might be. You have classified, so we know that this is a nominal data, gender. Okay, nominal data. So for nominal data, if I ask average, now understand. In one of the chat, some of you have written average means mean. So now understand. If your data is nominal, like gender or religious affiliation or the state you come from or the city that you're working in, whatever it might be, that all are called nominal data. And for nominal data, average is nothing else but mode only. You cannot use median, you cannot use mode. So be careful. Understand your data level of measurement and then decide if it is nominal, go for mode, and you cannot use any dispersion method for it. Now, if your data is categorical, in that ordinal now, nominal, and then it was ordinal. That means you have asked a question, or one of your data set is ordinal, like the feedback or the severity of the pain, okay, or the level of cancer. Okay, so that is all ordinal, level 1, level 2, level 3, all that is ordinal data. If your data is ordinal, then the central tendency we have to use is median, and the dispersion that we have to use is interquartile range. Interquartile range. If your data is scale and if it is skewed, now there is the purpose I explained what is skewness. It means it is not normal, in short. How to check normality, I will explain at a later stage. Don't worry about that. But right now, only imagine this way. If your data is scale means height, weight, income, deaths, births, whatever it might be. Okay. If your data is skewed, then we have to use median and interquartile range. So your central tendency will be median and your dispersion will be interquartile range. And last, if your data is scale but normally distributed, scale and normal distributed, then only we can use mean and standard deviation. I know many of you might be surprised, astonished also. Why? Because I have seen when someone asks you average, the first thing that comes in our mind is mean, and we start calculating mean. But that is wrong. Okay, and I would say, sorry to say that even few statisticians, they are wrongly taking the summary statistics. And that is what happens is that whole analysis is wrong. They go for the research paper doesn't get accepted into the good journals. Reason is the fundamentals are not clear. And that is why we are here, to promote right statistics. I'll repeat this point again because this is also important. Okay, good. Thank you for the nice words in the chat. I'm checking the chat for your queries also. If I give an example now, if your data is, right, if your data is category of product bought on Amazon, category of product, maybe it is in household, decorative, men's clothing, footwear, women's clothing, accessories, these are the categories. If this is your data of your online shopping, if this data is given to you and it is asked to find out average and dispersion, now I think it is clear, because category of product is nothing else but nominal. And if they ask average, we have to go for mode, and dispersion cannot be calculated. You all are with me? Okay, great. Okay. Next, if your data is say someone is in botanical department, okay, botany department or zoology department, and they are measuring the growth of plant. And they have said the growth of the plant is low, moderate, and high. This is how they are measuring the growth of the plant: low, moderate, and high. So now you can see low, moderate, and high. That means it can be ranked, it can be ordered. So it is an ordinal data. And so if you ask the summary statistics for growth of the plant variable, we should go for median or we should go for interquartile range. Getting it? If the data is income of individuals in Chennai or in Mumbai, income of individuals in Mumbai. So first thing, we know that income is scale. So we are here. Then next thing, we have to check whether it is normally distributed or not. Don't worry how to check. I'll explain it. there are techniques that I'll take it at a later stage when hypothesis testing comes into the picture. But if your data is scaled, don't straight away run for mean. Then check whether the data is normally distributed or they are not normally distributed. Because we know income is scale, so we are here. So now the next step is to check whether they are normally distributed or not. If it is normally distributed, then only go for mean and standard deviation. Otherwise, it will be median and interquartile. You all are with me now? Sure? Any query? No. Okay, good. Sure. Now, graphs. There are many different type of graphs, but basically the graphs, it can be pie graph, it can be bar, it can be multiple, it can be divided, it can be scatter plot, it can be box plot, it can be histogram, it can be line graph. So we know there are multiple type of graphs. Again, unknowingly, what we do is, in some of the data, what we do, we go for a pie chart. After 2-3 variables going for a pie chart, we feel बहुत colorful हो गया. Now we'll go for a bar chart. Then we go for a bar chart. After 2-3 bar chart, we feel now I want something like points and kind of thing. So we go for a scatter plot. Honestly, let me say that this is a scenario I've seen in many cases. And I'm sure at the back of the mind, the same answer is yours. Right? I'll explain now when to use pie, when to use bar, and so on. So you know what is pie, you know what is bar. I'm exceeding the time. We have crossed 10 minutes, but I think this is worth doing it. This is bar chart. Okay, I just classify this part. This is bar, simple bar chart. If you have 2 or 3, then it is called multiple bar chart. And I'm sure you all have used this. You all have used. And this is divided or stacked bar chart. Divided, or it is also called stacked bar chart. This is also stacked bar chart. But see the difference over here. Here, the heights are different. What we do, if heights are different, because the numbers are different, comparison becomes difficult. So we go for percentage stacked bar chart. It is percentage. So even in bar chart, there are 4 different types of it. It will be simple if it is 1 variable. If it is 2 variables or more than 2 variables, then it can be multiple, it can be divided bar, or it can be percentage stacked bar chart. Okay, great. Histogram, you know, here on x-axis, it will be the values or the classes, and y-axis it is frequency, and you will be getting this kind of thing, which is useful to find out whether it is normally distributed or not. Scatter plot, there are 2 variables, x on x-axis and another variable on y-axis, and we go on with the pairwise plotting. This is scatter plot. This also you know it. This you might not be doing it. Box whisker plot, but it is very important. Box whisker plot. Why it is called? It is also called, very famously called as box plot only. In day-to-day words, it is used as box plot. They don't use the word whisker. But why it is called whisker? Whisker matlab mooche. So this is the box, and this is the whisker. होता है ना face पे, ठीक है ये, this is the mooche, this kind of thing. So bear with my drawing, but this is something, a box and its whisker. So what does the box whisker gives you? Box whisker gives you 5 summary statistics. Minimum, so this is the minimum value. Maximum, this is the maximum value. Median, matlab center value, median. Upper quartile, lower quartile, Q1 and Q3. So this is the only graph which gives 5-point summary of your data. And it is also used to check the normality. It is also used to check the normality. If this distance is almost same, this and this distance is almost same, then we say it is a normally distributed. Same way here also, if it is almost bell-shaped curve, not necessarily exactly, but it is almost, then it is called normally distributed curve. There are different tastes for that also, but this is just an idea I'm giving you, which we'll talk in detail at a later stage. But this is box whisker plot in short. Now the main part. So now give me last 5 minutes full attention for that. Full focus over here now, last 5 minutes. If you have only one variable, now you know which are the variables we can classify as categorical, or we can classify it as scale. This, you know, level of measurements. If you have only one variable and that variable is scale, scale means height, weight, income, number of deaths, number of COVID patients, number of recovered patients, any numbers are given. If it is a scale data, then we have to use histogram only. Then we can use histogram. If your data is categorical, that means gender, severity of pain, course feedback, workshop feedback. If that is the data, then we can go for a pie chart, or we can go for a bar chart, a bar or a pie. The thumb rule over here also, whether to use bar or pie, it is your choice, absolutely your choice. Whichever color fascinates you, you can go for that. But the thumb rule is, if your categories are 5 or less than 5, go for pie chart. That means if your data is only gender, male, female, and the third gender, go for pie chart. That is good. But if it is state of affiliation, the state of your residence, then we know there are more than 28 different states that we'll be dealing with. Pie chart for that will actually give a very bad image for it. You'll be getting a pie chart of this kind. See, I'm just showing you this time. This kind of chart you'll be getting, and it is very difficult to interpret from this, and it is not a good way of graphical representation. So that is why it is said that when your categories are 5 or less than 5, go for pie, otherwise go for bar chart. So this is the thumb rule that you have to remember. So again I point out, if you're dealing with only one variable, or you want to represent only one variable right now, and if that variable is scale, go for histogram. Otherwise, if it is categorical, go for pie or bar. So this is for one. This is for one variable. Now, if there are two variables which you want to show it simultaneously, two variables, then the question comes, if both are scale, example, here one of the variable is income and the other variable is monthly expense, monthly household expense. So I've collected the data which is income and which is expense. This is the data, and I want to represent this too. So both are scale variables. If both are scale, then go for scatter plot. If one is scale and one is categorical, go for box plot. That means if here it is say income and here it is say gender. So my one of the variable that I want to represent is categorical and the other variable is scale. If this both I want to represent, you cannot go with scatter plot. You have to go for a box plot. You all with me? Yeah, good. Same way, if one is scale, other is categorical, now you know it is all the same thing, it is a box plot. But if both are categorical, like here it is say gender, and here it is say type of product purchased or the category of product purchased, gender and the category of product purchased. So both are categorical. If both are categorical, then we have to have a multiple bar chart or a stacked bar chart. This is the one slide picture which will be very helpful for you. Okay, so it is not like what you like to represent, that you are more fascinated toward colors, so you go for a pie chart, and if you're less facilitated toward or not attracted towards colors, go for bar chart. That is not true. And it is not true that after 2-3 pie chart you should go for a bar chart also, which normally is the case. It's not that. It is actually the level of measurement of your variable matters a lot in deciding the central tendency dispersion, that is the summary statistics, and it also matters in deciding the graph. I hope it is clear. Okay, so let me check now. Gender. If your variable is gender, which graph to use? Only one variable I want to represent, that is gender. Shelva ma'am, okay, I think फिर से याद करो, gender मतलब क्या है? वो categorical है. It is a categorical. Let me clarify it again. I am getting mixed answer. No, you are not with me right now. I'll take just 2 more minutes. If it is only one variable, which is scale. Scale means height, weight, income, salary, rates, births, all that. Then we have to go for histogram. If it is categorical, like severity of pain, the stage of cancer, the stage of the patients, or gender, the affiliation, and all that, the university affiliation, the type of university affiliation, the type of colleges that you're working at, all that will be categorical, and so we have to go for a pie or bar. If you are having two variables and both are scale, then only scatter plot. If both are categorical, then multiple and stack. If one categorical and one is scale, then only box plot. I hope the things are clear. So now I want more number of correct answers. Start. Now tell me gender. What it will be? Which level of measurement it is? It is only one variable, gender, and that is categorical. So gender and categorical. So pi. Great. Pi or bar. Wow. That's the answer. This is what I'm expecting. Feedback of the restaurant. Which level of measurement it is? This is again one variable. This is again one variable. This is ordinal. Ordinal matlab what? It is categorical. So if it is categorical, then what? Categorical means again pi or bar. Great. Now I'm getting the correct answers, more number of correct answers. Billing amount per purchase at Amazon. Which type of variable? This is again one variable, amount. Which type of variable it is? Great. I think now you are getting it. Silva ma'am, Mehtab, Lakshmi, Dr. Swapna, Surya, perfect. So this is a scale variable. So if it is a scale variable, right? If it is a scale variable, that means what to go for? This is only one variable and it is scale. I will go for histogram. Super. State-wise Omicron cases in India. Matlab, what we have, I have state. This is one of my variable and the number of Omicron cases. This is another. So this means I'm dealing with two variables. I'm dealing with two variables. I'm getting the answer now. Great. This is which type of level of measurement? Categorical. This is which? Scale. So my one of the variable is scale and the other is categorical. So box plot. Perfect. Go back over here. One is scale and one is scale. That is the number of Omicron cases. Other is state, that is categorical. So I'll go for a box plot. Good. Gold prices and the sales per day for 2021. So my one variable is gold prices, other variable is sales. Gold prices means my variable is price of the gold because we know it daily changes, price and sales. This is the data that I'm having. So what is price? A scale variable. What is sales? A scale variable. So both are scale. Both are scale. So what to do? Shabas. Scatter plot. Vanita ma'am, good. Scatter plot. Fir se, both are scale. So both are scale means here and here. So it is a scatter plot that we have to use. Okay, so numbers are increasing. Good. gender and deaths due to COVID-19 in the second wave in India. So my one of the variable is gender, and the other variable is number of deaths. So gender is what? Categorical. So my one variable is categorical. Number of deaths is scale. Now, yeah, I'm getting the answer. Categorical and scale. So this is categorical and scale means a box plot that you have to go for. Great. I hope the things are getting clear. Category of items and sales per month at the Chroma store in Bangalore. Again, category of items. So it is a categorical variable. Sales, it is a scale variable. Now you know. Yeah, one is categorical and one is sales. So this is again box plot. Okay. Cost of making the movie. Say Bahubali. Cost of making the movie. So I've collected all the movies that were released in 2018, and my variables are cost of making the movie and the box office collection. Box office collection. So what to go for? Wow, super. Divya ma'am, Deepak sir, Selva ma'am, Sanjay sir. Great. So that means cost is a scale. Cost is a scale. And box office collection is also the scale. When both are scale, we have to go for a scatter plot. Okay, I hope the things are more clear now. At least if you don't remember it right now, don't worry. If you don't remember this slide, because this is, see, when you do your actual research, no one will ask you the questions like it is asked in the exams. You have a ready reckoner with you. You have books for it. You have presentations for this, right? What is important is to get an idea. Okay, this is my data. This is my level of measurement. Okay, I'll refer this chart. I'll refer Parag sir's presentation, and then I'll decide my chart. So this chart will remain with you. But the thing is to interpret your data, the level of measurement, and then decide this one chart, and the other one that we have to remember is this chart. This one. When to use which type of summary statistic. Okay. Fine. So it's 7:25. I've exceeded time, but probably I have taken the allotted 1.5 hours. And I hope the basic concepts are clear. Basic concepts are clear. Next time, what I'll be doing it is I'll be dealing with different statistical techniques and all. That means I'll be going on with when to use which type of hypothesis testing, the fundamentals of hypothesis testing. And then beforehand, I'll be giving you the data also. You can have your SPSS ready. We'll be doing it hands-on. SPSS, how to do data analysis for it. That will be hands-on. And you will enjoy. I guarantee that at least if you understand the basics concept, remaining all will be nothing, no issue with it. You will be able to analyze your own data very effectively, that I guarantee. At least the techniques that I'll be teaching it. Okay, then see you. I'm done for today. Thank you for the kind words in the chat. Okay, ma'am, sir, the coordinators, please. I'm done for today.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We have been getting feedback from the participants that it is an excellent presentation, superb session. So like that, we have been getting so much of appreciation for your lecture, sir. Really, it is a wonderful lecture. You have covered fundamentals of data and statistics, measures of central tendency, measures of dispersion, skewness, kurtosis, types of charts, how to decide the type of charts. So everything you have covered in a very lucid and exhaustive manner, sir. Thank you very much for your nice presentation, sir. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And for those who want to have this presentation and all, this is the blog address. You can use this blog
Thank you,
address
sir.
to get
Thank
all
you.
your presentation. Yeah, ma'am. Yeah. Yeah, ma'am. I'm able to hear you. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, that's I was saying that if anyone wants more details about this all, it is available on my blog. It is you just can download all the books. Also is available. Ebooks are available. All my presentations are also available there, so you can use that. Even if you type statistics for you, you'll find all these things from my blog. Yeah, I'm done now. And thank you for allowing me to extend the time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, shall I exit? That's done. Okay.
Sir, hello, sir.
Yeah, I can hear.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for today's session. We'll be meeting again, sir. Thank you, sir.
No issue. It happens. It's okay. And sorry for extending the time, but I had to finish the allotted topic, so I extended for half an hour.
No problem, sir. Actually, participants have enjoyed your session. Very good feedback in the messages. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks and congrats for wonderful organizing this wonderful webinar. I think it will be very great for the participants. They will be learning a lot in this short period of time. So
Yes, sir.
congratulations to all.
Hope, sir. Because of all resource person, this program will be a great success, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, bye.
Bye, ma'am. Bye, sir.